All right, guys, I'm going to put this stuff back in the ponytail because it's kind of looking a little bit rough. I had it in the ponytail and I decided to take it down. And yeah, that's that. I'm going to allow you guys to log in. It's early in the morning, so I'm not expecting a whole lot of you guys. I happen to be up and I'm at a standstill when it comes to my customer orders. I'm at a standstill. And so, because of that, I decided to come out and speak to you guys just a little bit, just a little bit. So, I had to wake up early this morning. I had to wake up early this morning, and I'm actually going to go back to bed. I still actually have my sleepy voice on, so y'all forgive me on that. But I wanted to talk to you guys. I thought about you guys last night, but this week alone, I had to publish 3 customer books, and I've been working on a customer website. So I've been excited about that. I want to say this: I'm really proud of those of you who are actually pushing. Those of you who are, hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Germany. Hey, I lived in Germany for 6 months, been to Germany a total of 13 times. I absolutely love the country. I love that country. It's such a peaceful place to live. You have no idea. You have an idea, but a lot of people don't necessarily know. Or if you've never been outside of Germany, then you don't know that, in comparison to other countries, it is a very, very peaceful place. So today I want to just deal with a subject. This is something that was kind of burning on my heart last night to talk about, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it because, like I said, I had published 3 books this week. We're still waiting on 2 of them to get approved. Three of my clients, I published another one last week for a client of mine. These are not my personal books. I published another one last week or what have you. And so it's really exciting to see that we're in a season where people are actually starting to produce books and content. And I've been telling people this for years. Y'all ain't listening to me when I tell you that God is trying to get the people of God to not be reliant on a 9 to 5. God's trying to get you to a place where you start, building at home. And so I think I did a live and I talked about one of the things and I probably will bring it up on here. I may not. But I talked about what would happen because we see a lot of people lost their jobs. And if you had something to fall back on, you wouldn't be stressing yourself out. But when people don't have anything to fall back on, how much do I charge to publish books? There are different packages. I'll post up the website link to my publishing company. It's anointedfirehouse.com. And we do it in absolute excellence. When I say excellence, we do it in absolute excellence. You will never tell the difference between our books and a major publisher. A lot of people don't necessarily know the importance of that. A lot of my books are showing up in Walmart, guys. But Walmart does not publish self-published books. This is one of the things before we get into the message. Walmart does not publish self-published books, which is the reason why I launched a hybrid platform on my site. I have self-publishing, so you got 2 options. You can go with self-publishing, which means that it's going to be a little bit more expensive. You have full control, and yeah. But the thing about it is if you were to try to go to a major place, a lot of them don't necessarily trust self-published books because they don't know if you got an editor. They don't know if you invested, made the necessary investments or what have you. The majority of people who publish a book, they try to skip the editor, or they'll try to get one of their homegirls because they're like, once they get a quote on editing can cost you, depending on who you go to, editing can cost you like, on average, a person that comes to me, the editing is probably going to be anywhere between $300 to $700. But when it comes to a book, believe it or not, that's not that much money. If you were to go to other editors, you're looking at about $2,500. A lot of times people are, trying to find ways to cut corners. And so they'll say, well, my friend is an English teacher, not necessarily knowing, no, my books aren't on Audible yet. Excuse me, but not necessarily knowing that being an English teacher doesn't necessarily mean that they have mastered when it comes to understanding how books should be written, understanding the language of books. And so people tend to skip out. But when you have a publisher backing you, you start to gain the trust of major retailers like Walmart. And so when the distributor is marketing to all of these different organizations, the organization decides whether they're going to pick your book up or not. And this is just a little bit rifleable. I'm looking to start that. I'm going to start registration, God willing, next week. I'm going to start registration next week. But yeah, I'm going to start registration next week, and then I'm looking to launch it late August, early September. But I want to start registration because I want to make sure that I get about 50 people. That's my goal, is 50. Now, I would love to have 100, 125, 150, but I'm being realistic because I know mentalities. But I'm excited about it. Right now I'm drawing everything up. I talked to my pastor. He said, hey, it's good, but I want to make sure that I have a plan and I send it over to him and I get his blessing on it, or what have you. So back to what I was saying when it comes to publisher, just so you guys know, if you are self-published, Walmart won't touch your book. If your name is on your book as being the publisher, Walmart won't touch your book because they don't necessarily trust you. But if you have a publisher backing you, they know that the publisher is not going to put their name at risk, which means that you have to get edited. You have to get your book edited or what have you. And so they know that, it makes no sense, they know that they can trust you. And so a lot of the people who publish through my company, their books are showing up on Walmart.com, Kmart.com, and Target as well, which is something that cannot be said of most publishers. So that means that we have developed a level of trust. So that's exciting to me. We've developed a level of trust and favor. And in the next phase, one of the things that we're planning to do is go sit in the office with Walmart and, try to make a deal, bringing the physical copies of the book into Walmart. That's the next phase. We're supposed to do that here in 2020. God willing. And so that's that. So anyhow, let's talk about entanglement. I know that's what you guys are here for. Let's talk about entanglement. One of the people that I was thinking about last night. So yesterday I was working on 2 customer books. And while working on 2 customer books, I published both of them on yesterday. One of them I published day before yesterday, but China had to resubmit it and all that. But while working on customer books, what I have a tendency to do, just like anybody that has a traditional job, is, I'll take breaks between things. So I'll take a break. Like right now, I'm taking a break. I'll take a break and maybe get something to eat. Sometimes I'll scroll TikTok. Sometimes I'll scroll Instagram. Sometimes I'll scroll Facebook. I have a tendency, write that book. But I have a tendency to take a break or what have you. So just so you know, whenever I take a break, I'm actually, most of the time, I'm just scrolling. And so I'll stumble across stuff, and other times I may be a little bit intentional. And if you guys don't know, I followed this thing with R. Kelly. I've been praying for those 2 women that were under the spell in regards to him. And one of them, of course, has gotten away. She's been away for quite a while now, probably about 9 months. She has been free of his control. She has returned to her family. And then we have another one. And I'm saying this, like I said on the last thing, I don't really like to talk about celebrity news, and that's not what I'm going to get into. I'm going to be teaching you guys on today, but we do have another one that's still missing. And I believe that we have to talk about that because the faith warriors, for those of you, for us believers, we have to begin to intercede for people like that. So I want to help you to understand soul ties on today so you can understand what may even be going on in her life. And so this particular girl, her name is Jocelyn Savage, and she has not returned to her family, even though R. Kelly, of course, is in prison. She's still under his control. She's still under his spell. And because of that, she has absolutely nothing to do with her family. So one of the first things last night I had started when I was on my break, I happened to be scrolling and I follow her dad on Instagram because I've been praying for their family. And I happened to scroll on Instagram, and while I was scrolling, I happened to see one of his posts or what have you. And he was referencing her in a post, and that just reminded me to pray for him, pray for their family all over again. And I got up, I was actually cooking. I got up, and the first thing that I remember saying, I started saying out loud, I said, nobody who loves you will drag you away from your family. Nobody who loves you will take you away from your family. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what would drive a human being to completely and wholeheartedly disassociate herself from her family, her father and her mother? Guys, I lost my mother in 2018 and I miss her dearly. Yesterday I was tempted and I didn't give in to the temptation. I do have a voicemail on my phone from the last time she left me a voicemail. And I started feeling the temptation last night to listen to that voicemail. And I didn't give in to that temptation because I realized if I listen to that, that's going to take me into a dark place. It's going to make me sad or what have you. So I decided, hey, no, it's not the best thing, especially given the fact that I have to get up very early. And so a lot of times when we're seeing that people, for us who have lost a parent, whenever we see people who are doing stuff like that, we kind of look at you and we're just like, you don't even know what's going to happen to you whenever that parent leaves this earth. You don't even know the level of guilt that you'll deal with all the time that you've allowed the enemy to steal from you, away from your parents, because you were trying to prove yourself. One of the things I tell people all the time when it comes to the narcissist, you have to absolutely give up something. It's just like when when it comes to God requires us to make a sacrifice. He requires us to sacrifice our flesh, sacrifice our desires. He requires us to present our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to Him, which is our reasonable service. So the enemy tries to mock God. The enemy requires that you make a sacrifice as well. So whenever you're dealing with the narcissist requires that you give up something in order to prove your love. And a lot of people, like I talked about this, I think I talked about this on Facebook. A lot of people are professional Ahabs, which means that they have been Ahab for so long. Anytime they come in contact with the narcissist or they get into a relationship with the narcissist, they automatically know I got to give something up. And so a lot of times these people will, many of you don't realize that you've been on the altar of the Ahab. They had to give something up. And so maybe it was that best friend who called you every single day, and then she got into a relationship. Y'all, make sure y'all are liking this. Make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you're liking it and sharing. I just noticed that we didn't have that many people that were liking or what have you. But when it comes to the narcissist requires that you give up something. And so a lot of times when you're dealing with somebody who's a professional Ahab, that person is going to sit back and be like, maybe that was your best friend. That person may call you and tell you something bad about the guy that she's dating. I've had this happen to me a couple of times, and I actually thank God for it, because for me, God allowed me to go through some things so that I can understand what was happening, so that I can come out and I can teach it. But one of the things I've seen happen is that a lot of times I've had friends that reach out to me and they were hard up for a guy. And I'm talking about Christian women. I'm talking about women who claim to be waiting on God, but they were hard up for a guy. And so whenever somebody came into their lives, for them who are professional Ahabs, whenever a guy came into their lives and that guy was a narcissist, instead of them heeding the warning, they would reach out to me and they would tell me, God told me to leave this guy alone. God told me this and God told me that. But whenever I sat back and I'm like, yeah, just based on what you're telling me, sis, that's not a good guy for you. You just want to sit back and wait or what have you. And they just like, then they'll flip out and they'll be like, OMG, you're not about to put that negativity into my relationship. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You literally just got through telling me that this guy is, not contacting you. This guy is not engaging you. You're going 2 and 3 days and he's not calling you. You're having to call him. But the minute I say something, and then I realize, okay, what this person is actually doing is called a narcissistic sacrifice. So what they're having to do is they create drama in order to have something to present to the narcissist. They're professional Ahabs. So what this looks like is, after they've gotten through trying to get ugly with me and we've had our argument and we've cut ties, it's just like, for me, I'm just like, listen, I don't want to hear nothing else about your relationships. If you're going to act like that, you can't sit there and tell me this, and then I turn around as your sister in the Lord, somebody who genuinely loves you. You can't sit here and tell me that me telling you, hey sis, move on, you don't need this in your life. You can't sit here and then turn around and flip out on me, and then I'm supposed to just sit there. And I'm just like, no. And so what happens is in this, whatever. You guys let me know. But what happens in this, thank you. But what happens in this is that they're looking for a sacrifice to give to the narcissist. So what they're going to do is call the narcissist on the phone, and this is especially true when the narcissist stops calling them or he's starting to lose interest. Something I've been studying lately and something I've been, really talking about lately is that, we've been dealing with the whole thing about being high. What we call being in love is being outside of a sober mind. It means for us to get high. And so a lot of times, thank you, Sister Adele, God bless you. A lot of times we have an issue where we don't necessarily know how to date or court outside of that feeling. And so when you're dealing with the narcissist, they have to have that feeling as well. But what triggers them, what makes them feel in love, which is just really not necessarily, it's not love, is being outside of a sound mind. But what makes them feel that is whenever they have somebody worshiping them, whenever they have somebody who is just constantly giving stuff up and proving something to them. And one of the reasons for that is because most of them deal with major rejection. And so for them, whenever you start giving stuff up, like if you cut off a friend, you cut off a family member, especially if it's somebody that's really close to you, it helps them to feel more secure. It makes them feel like, okay, I guess you're not going to leave me like everybody else leaves me or what have you. And so, like I said, a lot of times when you're dealing with somebody who's a professional Ahab, they by default instinctively know to give something up. And so that friend calls you up and they trigger you, they get mad at you, they'll start a fight with you, and then the next thing you know, they're going to call this guy up on the phone. And the reason they're doing that is because he is starting to sober up. He's gotten to the point where he's not calling as much. He's gotten to the point where, whenever he does call, he's not on the phone very long. He's saying things like, yeah, I'll call you back. And so they want to give something up. So what they're going to do is call him up on the phone. And they're like, we're going to call him Tyrone. So they call him up on the phone and they're just talking to him. And they're just like, yeah, I was just calling you. And he's like, what's going on? You sound like you triggered or something. Yeah, I just lost my best friend. Me and this girl have been friends for 10 years. And he's like, so what happened? And she says, well, we were talking about relationships, and somehow the conversation went on to my relationship. And then she said something negative. She said this, or they'll tell him what you said, but they won't tell him what made you say what you said. And, and then so she said this, and I'm like, first and foremost, you're not going to be putting your mouth on my relationship. You're not about to be putting that negativity into my relationship. And so what they're doing is they're trying to get the narcissist to say, oh, wow, you literally killed a 5-year friendship, a 10-year friendship, a 20-year relationship for little old me. And you've been knowing me a month, or you've been knowing me 3 months. They're constantly making sacrifices. I want to give you this. Whenever you're having to make the sacrifice for the narcissist, you're going to have to give something else up. You're going to have to constantly, because they're going to keep sobering up. And you know what? Whenever they sober up, you're just nothing but another woman that's parked in their lives. They're going to keep sobering up. So they're going to get to the point where at some point, you gave up that friend of 5 years, of 7 years, of 10 years. You gave it up. You gave up this person to prove yourself to the narcissist. Now, at some point in the relationship, that's going to die down. See, that buys you, I'm going to be honest with you, it buys you a month. It really buys you 3 months at most. It buys you a month to 3 months of the narcissist saying, okay, all right, I see you out here, capping off on your friends for me. I see you all over here leaving your church for me, talking about your pastor for me. I see you over here. I see you. My God, I can't believe you're doing all that for little old me. That buys you 1 to 3 months. Within 1 to 3 months, you're going to have to give something else up. And the narcissist is not going to say it in all cases. The narcissist is just going to start to withdraw themselves. What they do is they try to see how much power, because when it comes to the soul ties, there are levels of soul ties. There is, I'm sorry guys, I gotta do this again because I see pictures in my mind, but I want to show you guys just stick figures real quick. Now I'm talking about soul ties. I'm gonna give you an understanding about soul ties in a minute. So I don't want you to think that there's some kind of umbilical cord that connects you with the person. So as you can see on this is what we would call an intimate soul tie. They're close. They're closer to each other. This is a distant soul tie. This is an intimate soul tie. They're close. This is going to be somebody that you speak to on a daily basis or speak to on a regular basis. This is going to be somebody that you are, kind of opening your heart to. The Bible tells us to guard our hearts, for out of it pours the issues of life. And this is somebody that you are more distant from. This is going to probably be a family member that you don't talk to that often. There's going to probably be somebody that may be at your on your job or at your church that you're not that close to, but you nevertheless you still have a soul tie with them. And so when it comes to this, what the narcissist does is they master creating soul ties. This is the reason why God told y'all don't know why God said to guard your heart. We listen to the scriptures, we read the scriptures, and we just kind of turn them into poetry in our minds, not understanding that God has a reason. God has a reason. God knows the science behind demonology. God knows what the enemy is going to do to you. And so God says, guard your heart, for out of it pours the issues of life. One of the signs that somebody is a narcissist is that they're trying to get into your heart really, really fast. Like they start doing this technique called love bombing. And so what they're doing is they sit back and they're just like, yeah, I'm in love with you. I can't stop thinking about you. You're on my mind. I don't know what this is. I've never felt like this before about anybody. Tell me I'm not alone in this. They start love bombing you to get you to open yourself up. That means they're trying to get into your belief system. Your belief system is the most intimate part of your heart. If I believe that you're the one, I'm bound. I'm bound to you. There's a soul tie. If I believe that you're the one, if I believe we're going to get married, if I believe we're going to have kids, if I believe that you genuinely love me, if I believe that God is in this, then guess what? I no longer guard my heart in regards to you. My belief system by then has been hijacked, which is what the narcissist does, is they hijack your belief system. They hijack your belief system, which is the reason why they're going to start love bombing. James 4:7 is going to be your scripture to prevent or protect you from the narcissist. It says, submit yourself to God and resist the devil, and he will flee from you. That means to resist the temptation of the enemy. When the enemy comes, when this person is trying to love bomb you, this person who should remain at a distance, because I don't know you, bro. I don't know you like that. You're supposed to stay far away from me. This person who I don't know that well, who's supposed to be here, is trying to hurry up and create something like this. They're trying to create an intimate connection. Now, whenever they're successful in it, what the narcissist does is they start to test the strength of this. They start to test the strength of the soul tie. They start to see if you are sold out on them. So narcissists tend to play little mind games. It could be him not calling you, him not texting you, or him being very distant when you talk to him over the phone. So you call him, you like, hey, what's going on? I haven't heard from you. I was asleep. You've been asleep every day? I haven't talked to you in like 3 days. Yeah, I've been really tired. Okay, first and foremost, let me just ask you this. Are you angry with me about something? Did I do something wrong? No, but I call you back. The narcissist knows whenever they're doing that, they're just actually testing the strength of the soul tie. It's like shaking the rope just to see if you're going to be moved by it. Because if you're moved by it, they know I got a real one over here. And then so what they can do is they can use that soul tie to kind of bring you closer and to strengthen that soul tie all the more. And so when they test that out, if you go to freaking out, if you go to feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm about to lose this guy, I got to give something up. Maybe I got to give up my body. I got to give up my mama. I got to give up my pastor. I got to give up my best friend. I'm going to have to put my children at risk. I'm going to have to give something to this guy. And so the narcissist, in a lot of cases, they're going to leave it up to you to figure out. They're going to leave it up to you to figure out. It's a mind game that they play with you. And so you'll find yourself talking on the phone with this guy, and you'll say, hey, what are you doing tonight? Well, what's up? I was thinking that you can come over. I can come over? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he starts talking to you again. And it's like the last couple of times you talked to him, he was really dry. But now all of a sudden, he rewards you with, oh, wow, well, I was supposed to be going over to my homeboy, but I guess I can come over. So what time you want me to come? I got this going, but it'll probably be around 9. I can come around 9. Yeah, you can come around 9. Because what you're telling him is that I'm willing to give something else up in order to secure my relationship with you. And so the narcissist, what you're doing is you're giving an offering. And so the narcissist will come and they'll show up. And of course, we know that the narcissist is the Jezebel spirit. The narcissist will come and they're going to eat what it is that you give them. And they're going to be like, if you're sitting there, you're having sex with them or anything like that, then the person's going to, and if they coming over to your house, they're coming over for sex. And it's not because they're horny or they want to have sex. In most cases, it has everything to do with them wanting to strengthen the soul tie. I mean, they want the sex as well, but it's really more so about strengthening the soul tie with you, getting you to the point where you feel like you can't live without them. And so they strengthen the soul tie. Now, when you do that, you've just bought yourself another month with a narcissist. 3 months maximum. You've just bought yourself another month or 3 months maximum with the narcissist. At some point, you're going to have to give something else up. At some point, you're going to have to give something else up. And a lot of times women will sit back and they be like, okay, I don't know what. I'm giving the guy sex, I done cut off my best friend. I done left my church. I don't necessarily know what I need to give up at this point. And what the narcissist is doing is every time their rejection flares up, every time they feel, like you too good for me, or you didn't call me, or I don't feel like there was this chipperness in your attitude when you were talking to me, and their rejection begins to flare up. A lot of times they start to distance themselves from you because they have a spirit in them. That's an unclean spirit. But what they're going to do is they'll place distance between you again, or they'll start doing things like talking about their exes. I'm going to give you guys a narcissistic move. A narcissist will talk about his ex in order to make you feel inferior to his ex. Women do this as well, but I'm talking to my sisters in Christ. A narcissist will talk about his ex in order to get you to feel like, a narcissist will create this thing where they'll make you feel like what they had with their ex was special. I'm going to show you something because many of you don't even realize that you dated the narcissist. I'm going to show you a tactic that they typically use. A narcissist will sit back and they'll talk about an ex and they'll say, let's just say her name was Amy. I don't think I seen anybody on here named Amy. They'll say, Amy and I, we had a very strong connection. We've never had an argument. We were always on the same page. We were in college together and we genuinely loved each other. And, she was my best friend. We went everywhere together. But, the only reason that we broke up was because we decided, they're going to constantly keep using the term we. You got to understand psychology. They're going to constantly keep using the term we because what they're doing is saying we're one person. What they're saying is that I have a stronger connection with Amy than I do with you. What does that do? It triggers you to become jealous of Amy and want the connection that Amy has with this person. So they sit back and they'll say, we decided that it would be best for us. Notice that we're using one term. We're not saying she decided or I decided. We're using one term. We decided that it's best for us to separate because, her father was in the military, and so she had to travel And, she was having to live in this other state, and she was going to be there for another 3 years. And so we decided that it would be in our best interest. And so that's the reason that we broke up, and she eventually got engaged and everything. And I wished her well, and all that. What that does is designed to trigger jealousy in you, because you hear him using the term we and us. And I talked about this whole thing with Jada on the last one, Jada Pinkett. And that's something that she has done. She's done with Tupac's name. She's constantly throwing up his name like they had something special. Like, whatever friendship or what have you, like this was like a soulmate or what have you. That's what they tend to do, is they'll bring somebody up and make you feel like, wow, this person was like, dude, you had a real strong connection with that person. So it makes you feel inferior to that person. It makes you feel like you can never measure up to that person. It's a mechanism of control. And so, for example, if you start to say something along the lines of, let's just say, I don't like you talking to this ex of yours. It makes me really uncomfortable. They'll bring stuff up like, the problem was like with Amy. She was very secure. That's one thing I did love about her, was that I did have other female friends. And, she didn't say anything about me having female friends because she knew my character or what have you. They're going to make you feel like you're broken. There's something wrong with you, and that you should be lucky to have them. That you should be lucky to have them. They're going to make you feel like what you don't necessarily know is that the problem in the relationship is you. And so what you end up doing is you find yourself saying, okay, well, maybe I don't need to say anything about him talking to his ex-girlfriends. Maybe that is something that I have to work on. So you end up competing with this Amy character, not realizing that Amy, 9 times out of 10, went on the run and got away from his tail. She went on the run and she got away from his tail. It makes me think of this one ex of mine who happened to be a narcissist. And I don't even know if I can call him an ex because I didn't date him that long. So I can't necessarily call him an ex. But there was this guy I met a long, long time ago, turned out to be a major narcissist. I broke up with him in a matter of 2 weeks. But I met him. I went against my rules, and I met him inside of a club. My rules when I was in the world was I didn't date guys out of the club. I would go to the club, have fun, I'd dance with you and all that, but I just wouldn't date somebody in a club. And I came across this guy, that was showing interest. And he was just really an interesting character. He was just really different, stand outish and all that. And so I met this guy, ended up exchanging numbers with him. And immediately, of course, when we start talking on the phone, when you're in the world, you're not going to do the right thing. Never had sex with him, never kissed him, thank God. But he invited me out on a date. And when I went out on a date with him, we went out to eat. And he talked a lot about himself, but he was always really flashy when it came to money. So what he ended up doing was, I remember even going on a lunch date with a friend of mine, and he was like, when I was on my job, and I happened to call him or talk to him, and I said, yeah, I'm going on about to go out to lunch with my friend. And he showed up at the restaurant, sat down, talked with us, and paid for our food, or what have you. So he was trying to build rapport with my friend. And so, thank you. So what ended up happening was we had this one incident. First and foremost, what really changed me on him, what made me really not want to be with him, he was moving entirely too fast. And I don't think that was a big red flag, but it did kind of stir me a little bit when people did that. But he introduced me. One day he was like, I want to pick you up. I want to introduce you to my family. And I just known the guy 2 weeks at the time. And I'm just like, I don't know if we ready for to be meeting kin folks and stuff like that, because that's kind of officiating it. It's kind of officiating. It's something else I want to talk to you guys about. When I said the word officiated, triggered this, and we'll get to that in a minute, but that's kind of officiating things. And so long story short, I did go and meet his family. And I remember his sister looked at me, and I'm going to make up a name. I'm going to call him Tyrone. She looked at me and she just kept looking at me, and she was like, what made you want Tyrone? Like you. And it made me start thinking, like, that's some stuff I would do with my brother, because I know stuff that other folks don't know. So I'm just looking at her like, is you trying to tell me something? And then that night, it wasn't just that. We ended up getting in his car, riding in his car, and because he had picked me up, he was taking me back to the house. And I remember it was a group of teenagers in the street. Like, they lived in a bad neighborhood. It was a bunch of teenagers in the street. And it was a railroad track. And the teenagers, they were moving out the street really slow. And he started driving into the crowd, threatening them. Just driving off into the crowd, almost hitting them and what have you. And, they moving out the way and cussing, but they were acting like teenagers. And I'm like, is that necessary for you to act like that? Long story short, I don't want to go into the entirety of the story. But long story short, those were the red flags. I was still going to the club at that time. I remember I went to the club and I was dancing. I went to the club. I asked him if he was coming to one particular club. He said no. So what we used to do, we used to go to two clubs, me and my friend girl at the time. We used to go to two clubs. We'll go to the first club and we'll dance, and the other one would be up, stay open later than the first club. So we went to the first club, and I asked him if he was going to come. He said no. I ended up seeing a guy that I knew in that club, and he told me that his mother had passed, and so I invited him on the floor and I danced with him or what have you. I was trying to cheer him up. Nevertheless, I was a freaky dancer. I was one of those people that I didn't dance like I danced, but we did the equivalent of twerking and all that other stuff, back. But I'm on the floor dancing with this guy. A fast song's on. I'm on the floor dancing with this guy, and my friend, she's dancing beside me. She taps me on the shoulder and she says, "There is Tyrone." We'll say his name's Tyrone, but she said, "There go Tyrone." He had literally came on the dance floor and was standing on the wall, just leaning, watching me like this. So I looked over at him and I said, "Well, he see me. There ain't no sense in me stopping, And it's not like I'm doing something wrong. That's the way I reason, but I could tell the way he was looking that he wasn't. I said, so it makes no sense for me to stop. So I just kept dancing with the guy. His friend came over and said, after the dance was over with, his friend said, "Tyrone sent me to tell you come here." I was like, "What?" "Tyrone said to tell you to come here." I said, "Who the heck is he?" I said, "Is his legs broken?" He was like, "No." I said, "He in a wheelchair?" He was like, "No." I said, "His legs working?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, Tyrone can come over here to me." And his friend looked at me like he knew something that I didn't know. So just to close that story, that guy ended up trying to fight me that night. When we got to the second club, they had to hold him back, and it was a crazy, crazy, crazy night. If I ever did a movie, that scene would have to be in a movie. I was a $102, and meaning I was like 100 pounds at the time. I remember him snatching me across. I remember hiding in the men's bathroom from him because he was just, acting like he was drunk and trying to get to me. I remember, standing in the crowd hoping he didn't see me, and he happened to see me and snatched me across the table, and people constantly having to hold him back. And that was that. And I remember my friend at the time not wanting to go home because she was just like, "Girl, we looking good. We got all this attention." I'm like, "No, Negro. I got a problem over here. I got a dude that's trying to straight up fight me, a big tall guy that's trying to fight me. So I need to get." He was skinny, but he was tall. I was like, "Yeah, I need to go." So that night ended with them holding him and telling us, "We got him, but we can't hold him too long. Run!" Like, we had on stilettos. No lie, we had to run across rocks wearing stilettos, and I could hear him screaming. And it was a crowd of people holding this man. I'm not lying. It was a crowd of people holding this guy. And as skinny as he was manning that crowd trying to get out. He's like, "Tiffany, I only dated him 2 weeks. I got in that car like, man, And so we ended up leaving. Well, this guy, me too. What ended up happening was this guy, maybe 2 years later, he kept calling, all this other stuff, and I didn't talk to him. I ended things with him. But 2 years later, maybe a year, maybe 2 years later, I was at Walmart, which was where I was working. And I was passing through the layaway department where one of my friends worked. And she said, "Hey, Tiffany." And I said, "Hey." And I called her name, but I went into the bathroom. And there was this girl followed me into the bathroom. And she was like, "Your name Tiffany?" I said, "Yeah." And I walked on into the bathroom. She followed me in. I went into a booth to pee. And so while I was in the booth peeing, she was like, your name Tiffany Buckner. I was like, yeah. She was like, oh, my name's such and such. I'll wait till you come out. Okay. I'm in there like, okay, what's going on? No, she said to me, I'm dating Tyrone, but I'll wait till you come out. I was like, okay. I want to show you something, a narcissistic move. I came out, finally came out of the bathroom, walked up and started washing my hands. She comes, she stand on the side of me, like literally right here. You know, all in my personal space. She stand on the side of me. She's looking at me. She said, I don't see it. I'm washing my hand. I was like, you don't see what? She said, Tyrone is always talking about you. He told me that I look just like you and I remind him of you. Oh, okay. This guy knew me 2 weeks. This guy knew me 2 weeks, and what he did was he glorified me in her presence to make it look like it was something bigger because he was trying to dwarf her. I just gave y'all a science of a narcissist. You don't necessarily know. This guy knew me 2 weeks. We never kissed. We never had sex. Nothing. We never went to it. All we did was talk on the phone, and we went on a couple of dates. I think we went on one. If I'm thinking right, we went on one date. I went to meet his family, and then he showed up at a restaurant that me and my friend girl was at and paid for our lunch. That's it. In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I sat in his car with him a couple of times. Didn't even kiss him. You know, hey, good night. You ain't kissing? No, I'm not. And I got out of the car. So this girl followed me into the bathroom because this man was inundating her mind about me. Like he was constantly talking about me, and he had blew me up to being this goddess, this very important figure in his life, the one that got away. And so when she heard my friend say my name, and you know, he told her where I work. When she heard my friend say my name, she felt like, I gotta go meet this girl. I gotta go meet this girl because this is what, listen, let me tell you something that the narcissist does. The narcissist will make you or make your ex-girlfriend into a celebrity in your eyes. Somebody write that in the chat room because somebody's gonna have to read this. The narcissist will make their ex into a celebrity in your eyes. That's the one that got away. That's the one that, you know, did this. They will make you to the point where it's like you hear so many stories of that person and so many great things about that person that in a way they become a celebrity. That's what they do. All that constant putting that in your head and in your ears, they will turn that person into a celebrity. Thank you, Sister Nappy Happy, for writing it. But they will make their ex, and the reason, listen, when we tell you to write stuff, I want to tell you that one of the reasons we tell you to write stuff is because that helps it to get in your mind. For those of you who kind of relegate that to somebody else, what we're doing is whenever you start to write it out, it helps it to get in your mind. They will make their ex into a celebrity. That is a red flag. They will turn their ex into a celebrity in your eyes. And so what you'll be sitting up there finding yourself doing is like, wow, this girl sounds amazing. Then you'll start thinking about what she looks like. You'll start imagining her to be this drop dead gorgeous female that everybody wants. They had this special amazing relationship that's just out of this world. And so you can never measure up to that. They will make you feel like that person is so much better than you. He had that girl thinking that me and him had something that was bigger than what it was. This girl followed me into the bathroom, and then she looked at me. And if you think that was crazy, it gets crazier. Now, about 2 years after that incident, about 2 years after the bathroom incident, I was married. No, I was living with my ex. I had, moved on. Of course, I was in another relationship, and I was still a baby in Christ. And so we were shacking, me and my ex-husband. At that time, we weren't married. We were shacking, and we had a house. We had got us a house. We were renting out a house. And I told him about this ex again, we're calling this guy Tyrone. I had told him about Tyrone, and that was, real brief or what have you. Didn't talk too much about that. But one day, my ex-husband and myself, we were outside doing yard work, and I happened to look up and I saw Tyrone passing by my house. Now, I don't think he knew where I stayed. I think he was just passing down that neighborhood. I think he was just passing down that street. So I tried to turn my face so that he wouldn't see me, because I was like, dang, if this dude see me, the way that this guy acted, he gonna act crazy. So I tried to turn my face, and I hoped to God that he didn't see me. And I told my ex-husband about it. I was like, that guy that just passed by, that's that dude Tyrone I told you about. I said, I hope he didn't see me, because, he a little on the cray-cray side. And I said, he likes to do stupid stuff. I said, he will show up over here. He'll keep passing up and down the street if he see that it was me. And what ended up happening was my cousin had came into town. Now, my cousin, I had went to get her from Louisiana. She was in town, and after that, probably about a couple of days after that, we had went down to Louisiana, got my cousin and what have you. So one particular night, me and my cousin were up late. It was 1 a.m. And I remember my cousin and I, we were having a conversation. My cousin was sitting on the couch and we were talking. My ex-husband was in the bed asleep. So I'm sweeping and we're talking and we're laughing. Then all of a sudden somebody knocks on my door, because I don't think I had a doorbell at that house. I'm trying to feel like, but all of a sudden somebody knocks on my door. We look at each other. Who the heck knocking on somebody's door at 1 a.m. in the morning? Who's knocking on somebody's door? So I go to the door. I said, who is it? I hear a female. Who is it? A female says her name. So I just go ahead and I open it, because my little tail was, I didn't mind fighting you, and my cousin was straight up. She was a fighter as well. So and it was dumb, because if they would have had a gun, we would have been looking crazy. But I opened the door, and here's this same girl that followed me into the bathroom, standing right there in front of my door. And she looks just as confused as me. I open the door, I see her, and then I look at the car. She asked me, she said, is Pam here? I said, this is not Pam's house. Pam don't live here. Hey, brother Darnell. I'm like, Pam don't live here. She was like, oh. And she kind of turned around and looked. And when I looked in the car, the guy, the ex, he was sitting in the driver's seat, just staring at me. He had passed by and saw me. And then he had brought this girl to my house and told her that it was somebody else's house. Brought her to my house and told her. And so when I opened the door, she was confused at 1 a.m. He was trying to send a message to me. That's what narcissistic people do. That's what narcissistic people do. When you're dealing with, and he was a high level, there are levels of narcissism. When you're dealing with a narcissist will always make you feel like you're not good enough. Like there's somebody out there that's perfect, and you don't even realize that he's constantly blowing this girl's name up in your ears, but he only dated her a week. You don't even realize he only dated her a month, or maybe he never dated her at all. Maybe she kept blowing him off. Maybe she friend zoned him. But what he'll do is he'll make you feel like they had something great, something grand, and that nobody can compete or compare with that you are their true soulmate, but they're just settling. Or that the other person's their true soulmate, but they're just settling for you. They're just settling for you. What they want to do is create an entanglement. What they want to do is they want to bring you close, and then they're going to entangle you with all these different people. They're going to create an entanglement, all these different soul ties. They're going to create an entanglement where all of you guys are meshed in, where you're constantly insecure about this person, that person. So let's talk about, for example, when it comes to, and remember, this is the charge. This is the charge. I want everybody on here to take. Make sure you're liking this, guys. If this is blessing you, make sure that you are liking this, and make sure that you're sharing it as well. But this is the charge. When it comes to the girl Jocelyn Savage, I want the body of Christ to begin to intercede for her. I want us to begin to intercede. Sometimes we see people in the world and we're so quick to discount them because they're in the world, but that's not the love of God. We have to start to intercede for these people. Whenever a narcissist hijacks your heart, what they do is they take you outside of a sober mind. They hijack your belief system. She's still in it, right? She's still in it. She's still under a spell. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we're interceding. We're interceding. Lord, set her free. Lord, open her eyes. Lord, feel her voice. Lord, give her a visitation. We want to begin to pray because we don't want to see this girl lose her life. She's so deeply in. We don't want her to end up trying to take her life in order to prove, because I don't think R. Kelly's getting out. And if he's not getting out, a narcissist will ask you to commit suicide, or they will insinuate or drop a hint for you to commit suicide, because they have no love for you or anybody else. All they want to do is make sure that their name is protected. They want to make sure they're territorial. They want to make sure that you don't go out there and get into a relationship with anybody. So whenever, guys, y'all make sure you're liking this. I see a lot of y'all on, but a lot of you haven't liked it yet. But they're always trying to create this soul tie with this soul tie that would allow them to control you. This soul tie that would allow them to manipulate you. This soul tie that would allow them, it was a suicide pact they were talking about among them, but that's what narcissists do. That's why I want you guys to make sure, even for a brief moment right now, so that you don't forget, write it down, or even for a brief moment right now, I want you to begin to intercede for her, begin to speak, God, for God to deliver her, for God to set her free, because she's in the grips of a narcissist. And I want you to understand that when you're in the grips of a narcissist, you think it's love. For those of you who have truly never experienced love before, you don't know love. This is the reason why I'm doing the Wifeable mentorship. I want to teach you what love is. I want to show you what love is, because if you don't necessarily understand love, you will settle for anything that's given to you. You'll settle for oxytocin and dopamine. You'll settle for those feelings, those butterflies in your stomach, the racy, the racing heart, or the sweaty palms. You'll settle for that, and you'll call it love. You'll settle for obsession, and you'll think that because I can't stop thinking about him, that means I love him. Because I'm worried about him, that means I love him. That is not love. It's not love. It's you going into the heart, the belly of obsession. Lust is partnered with obsession. It looks like love. It feels like love. It smells like love in some cases, but it's not actual love. You're going to have to test it. I'm going to set it up. I'm probably going to come out in the next couple of days and allow you guys to start registering, because I do want to make sure that y'all are able to register. But it partners up with obsession, and it's going to make you feel like this is love that I have for this guy. This is love that he has for me. I want to deliver you on this. Just because he says, I'm in love with you and I can't stop thinking about you, just because he stands in your face and this is you, and he looks at you and he says, you got me, baby. I don't know what I would do without you. I'm in love with you. That doesn't mean that he loves you. He actually may believe what he's telling you at the moment. He could be lying, or he could be acting. Because one of the things that narcissists tend to be intelligent. They happen to love mastering the minds of people. They love mastering the minds of people. That's why they're so interested in psychology. They love mastering your brain. So he may be playing and seeing how smart am I? How skilled am I? Or then again, he may be genuinely thinking that what he has for you is love. But at some point, he's going to sober up. And he knows that because he's felt that before. See, you got to look at your track record. You got to look at your pattern. He knows he's done it with 5 other females within the last year. He felt that before. He thought that, oh, I want to be with her. I want to spend my life with her. I want to have her baby. I want to have babies with her. But then at some point, I don't really just want to talk to her. That's not love. Love doesn't fluctuate like that. That's not love. That's carnality. That's carnality. And so now he got you twisted up in the. Can I give you guys a little bit of revelation if y'all can handle it? Matter of fact, I want to take it to the scriptures. Give me a second. I think it's going to be Genesis 3:16. Genesis 3:16. And so this is when God is judging Eve. He's judging Adam and Eve. And so this is the punishment that he gave to Eve. He said, unto the woman, unto the woman, for us females, unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. We've seen that. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. We've seen that in labor. And thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Two things. Your desire. Now, first and foremost, we talked about childbearing, but these other two things. Your desire. Didn't say his desire will be unto you. Your desire will be unto your husband, and he shall rule over you. Your desire shall be unto your husband, and he shall rule over you. One of the things we established some videos ago, a long time ago, is that whenever you sleep with somebody, they become your husband. Have you ever wondered why a man can walk away and a woman can't? We asked that question 1,000 times. Why is it so easy for them to walk away? Why is it so easy when I really love them? Thy desire shall be to thy husband. That means I need to protect my desire. I need to protect my heart. I don't allow myself to, not protect my desire, but I need to make sure I protect my heart so that I don't get into a relationship where this guy illegally becomes my husband, because thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Whenever we talk about ruling, we're thinking about submission, and of course that means submission, but it also, he rules over your mind. This is the reason you can't stay off of his page. This is the reason why you're on Facebook on his page. I don't like when people tag me in pornographic stuff on Facebook, but I happen to go on Facebook. But that's the reason why you on Facebook. You know who he dating. You know what he working at. That's the reason why you stay on his page. Thy desire shall be to thy husband. Your desire is going to be to your husband. So my goal, because when I get married, I got to make it legal in God's eyes. My goal is to keep that guy as somebody I'm dating and courting, but I don't make him my husband through sex. I don't allow him to have the benefits of a husband, because I don't need my desire to be hijacked, my heart to be hijacked like that, where I'm longing for him, where I'm sitting there and I'm like, why he call me? No, that's reserved. There are some things, to my sisters, that are reserved for your husband. There is a connection of the heart that I should not give to a fiance. Because see, when you think that, okay, we're almost engaged or we're engaged, there's still a connection. There's still something that he doesn't qualify for. There are layers and levels to this. So if we're just dating or getting to know each other, building a friendship and all that, there are certain things you cannot get from me. We're not talking sex. There are certain things, there are certain conversations we're not going to have. As we build our relationship, as we start to grow together, there are conversations, there are parts that I can reveal to you, but I don't open my whole heart, and I don't need you playing that music in the background. Dude, we got to get to know each other. I don't need to be love bombed. I don't need to be love bombed. Slowly but surely, we'll build a connection when he becomes a fiance. Now, one of the things I tell people, until, for me, you can be a fiance, you can call yourself a fiance all day long, but you're just a glorified boyfriend, and so you still have no rights. So one of the things I have to do is I still have to guard my heart. I can open up a little bit more and, share more with a fiance, because there are certain things that you're not going to necessarily share with a boyfriend. I can share more, but I'm not sharing my body. I'm not going to sit here and tell him that everything there is to know about my psychology or what have you. I'm letting him get to know Tiffany. I don't have to tell him about when I say psychology, I'm really talking about my history. I'm not going to tell him everything there is to know about, let me make a list of all the guys I dated. Let me do this and let me do that. Let me tell you what my greatest fears are. Let me tell you this. No, one of the things that he has to do over time through a relationship, he gets to know those things. He studies the patterns. He gets to know those things about me. Right. Never treat a man you date like he's your husband. I had to go over here. But he has to get to know those things about me. Meaning I'm creating a welfare system if I tell him everything that he needs to learn about me. Because I know we think that we need to tell the guy, we got to communicate everything. No, I'm creating a welfare system, whereas he doesn't have to do the work. Because I happen to open my mouth and be like, so no, I don't like that kind of stuff. Or let me tell you something about this, and let me tell you something about that. Over time, what I'm doing is God called him a hunter. God will allow him to get to know me. He's going to pursue that information. He's going to, start noticing different things about me. He'll start noticing that anytime she gets upset, this is what she does. Anytime she's afraid, this is something that she tends to do. He doesn't necessarily have to ask me, how do you act when you get upset? No, these are things that he's going to see in demonstration. These are things he's going to see in demonstration. So again, we want to make sure that we are interceding for her. We want to make sure that we're calling out her name in prayer, and that we're not, judging her and saying, oh, she's in the world and she's doing stupid stuff. Yeah, she's doing something that's silly right now, but it's also something that she's going to regret at some point. I'm old enough to say this. At some point in her life, she's going to genuinely regret it. I'll get to your questions soon, but at some point in her life, she's going to genuinely regret it. Now, I want to help you to understand when it comes to soul ties. I think I wanted to give you a little bit of revelation when it comes to soul ties, because we have this misunderstanding. A lot of times when we think of a soul tie, I want to get 3 people to answer, and I want to see what you guys say. When you think of a soul tie, I want 3 people to answer. When you think of a soul tie, just give me a few words. What do you think a soul tie is? Because I want to help you to understand a soul tie. Give me 3 words. What do you think a soul tie is? 3 words. What do you think a soul tie is? Don't try to be deep. Don't try to be the deepest sister on here. What do you personally, because there are a lot of people on here who don't necessarily understand connection. Okay, that's good. Who else? What do you think a soul tie is? What do you think a soul tie is? How do you think we're connected? Strong bonds, bond attachment, intertwined sex, demon possession, bound by emotion. All of those are good. All of those are good. So, Hook joined us one. Deep lust, love it. Love it. All right. A soul tie is this. What is a soul? It is the mind, the will, and the emotions. Chain in the spirit, spiritual connection, intertwined, yoked. I love that. Deep connection. Awesome. Awesome. The soul is the mind, the will, and the emotions. Mind, will, and emotions. Now I want to show you what the enemy does. The mind, has the subconscious, conscious, and unconscious. Spiritual stronghold. What else you saying? Ungodly connection. That's good. It's not always ungodly. Soul ties can be good as well. Strong attachment, spiritual connection. Okay, awesome. So the soul is the mind, the will, and the emotions. This is the soul. Mind, will, and emotions. The mind has 3 levels to it. The mind, let's go ahead and do it this way. The mind has 3 levels to it, because it's kind of crammed up. Y'all forgive my handwriting on here. Okay. The soul is the mind, will, and the emotions. The mind has the subconscious, the conscious, and the unconscious. The conscious, well, no, I should have put this first. It's supposed to be the conscious, the unconscious. Okay. Let me put it in right order so that you guys can understand, because if I have it up here and I'm promoting it that way, you guys are going to get confused. All right. So the mind, or the soul, is the mind, will, and the emotions. The mind is comprised of three things. That's the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. You notice that I have the word heart here. The subconscious is your heart. So we talked about the narcissist. When you first meet somebody, they only engage in the conscious mind. Now, God says, guard your heart, protect your heart, guard it, guard your heart, for out of it pours the issues of life. So when you're meeting the narcissist, or you're meeting anybody, you're dealing with the conscious. You're dealing with the conscious. So what they're doing is they're calling me up on the phone. Okay, awesome. They're calling me up on the phone. We're talking, we're talking about a lot of different things. So what the narcissist wants is they want to shorten this process here, where they don't know me. They want to shorten this process and hurry up and get right here, this level of intimacy. They want to hurry up and get close to me. They want to hurry up. So whereas I don't know you, you don't know me, so we have a distant connection. Right now, we're just dealing with each other consciously. You're not in my heart, meaning I don't necessarily believe. When it gets into the heart, that's when your belief system is hijacked. I don't believe you're the right one. I hope, I think you're a nice guy. I think you're an amazing person, but I haven't allowed you to hijack my belief system if I'm mature. Now, immature women, they go ahead and start jumping into fantasies and stuff like that, imagining him being the one, imagining him being this person or what have you, and they set themselves up. So the narcissist doesn't necessarily have to do that much work. The narcissist wants to circumvent, he wants to shorten their process. He needs to hurry up and begin to love bomb you, so that he can go ahead and start carrying out his agenda. So you have the mind, which is part of the soul. You have the conscious. You have the conscious, you have the subconscious, and you have the unconscious. He's trying to get from the subconscious because he doesn't like being right here. He's afraid because he deals with rejection. He's afraid that you can get rid of him easily right here, especially if you are to know his shortcomings, if you are to know that he's, criminally insane, if you are to know that he has these issues, if you know how he treated his baby's mother, if you know he had a jail, a prison record, or what have you, if you were to know that, he dealt with perversion, if you were to know things about him, he knows that you can get rid of him really easily. And because of that, he has to hurry up and secure a connection with you. He has to hurry up and get you to the point where you feel like you love him. He got to hurry up and get you high. He has to hurry up and get you high. He's trying to get right here into the subconscious. Now, in order to get into your subconscious, he has to get you high. He does that by right then he's trying to hijack your belief system. So he's going to start saying things like, I can't stop thinking about you. I'm in love with you. You're on my mind. I dreamed about you last night. I want to have babies with you. I want to marry you. I know it's too soon. I like you to meet my family. I would love to meet your family. I would love to meet your pastor. A narcissist would even ask to meet your pastor. They start trying to move the relationship along. I know it's short, and I know that we barely know each. Yeah, some of y'all are sitting here scratching your head like, oh my God, because you're dating one right now. But I know it's short, and I know we haven't known each other that long. But it's just something about you. I just feel like, do you feel that too? Do you feel it? Do you feel that like this connection? Because I need to know that I'm not alone in this, or what have you. They have to hurry up and love bomb you. They have to hurry up and create a quick connection with you. This is what God told you to guard. God said to guard your heart, for out of it pours the issues of life. Now, if they hijack your belief system, if they get you to believe that you love them, and they start getting you to believe that their intentions for you are good and that God sent them into your life, then what's going to start happening is you start dealing with those feelings. The feelings of the racing heart, the sweaty palms. These are alarms. These are not necessarily good feelings, guys. We have accepted them as good. We've accepted them as, oh my God, I got the butterflies in my stomach, the sweaty palms. Your alarm is going off. Your alarm is going off. Your heart has been hijacked. Heart racing. Oh my gosh. Can't stop thinking about him. Your mind, your heart has been hijacked. And so now you feel like, I love him and he loves me. When the narcissist twists and get you into believing that they are the one for you. Once they twist themselves up, because what they do is they create. Let's just go back to the paper. What they do is because typically they're going to have the Leviathan spirit. Now, one thing about the Leviathan spirit is very similar to an alligator. So what an alligator does is whenever it's trying to kill its prey, it typically will take off the prey's limbs. It usually causes the prey to bleed to death in the water. So an alligator will get, for example, your arm, and then it starts to twist. It starts to twist its body. It'll keep on twisting and twisting and twisting and to rip off your arm or whatever prey it has to rip off your arm. This is very similar to the Leviathan spirit. The Leviathan spirit will twist your words, will twist everything up, and that's how they create this strong connection with you. And so whenever you're dealing with a narcissist, for example, let's just say you are, confronting him about something, he'll twist it up, make it look like it's your fault, make it look like it's something that you did. He'll keep twisting it up to secure his connection with you. And so when you're dealing with the narcissist, because they're going to have the Leviathan spirit, that's going to be one of the spirits in their network, they're going to create a twist. And so they'll add other things and other people into that. They're going to create a twisting effect. They're going to twist your words. They're going to twist everything to the point where you start, one of the signs that you're dealing with a narcissist is when you start dealing with confusion. One of the signs that you're dealing with a narcissist is that you are dealing with confusion. You start, I see all the signs that he's the wrong person, but he's saying all the right stuff. Like all the red flags are there. So your eyes, he's saying, your eyes and your ears become enemies. I see he's doing all the wrong things, but man, he's saying all the right things. He's saying everything that's right. And so now you start to deal with confusion. And the more confused that you are, the more they twist things. They keep twisting and keep twisting until you're so caught up, you don't know what to think. And whenever a person comes up to you, like your pastor or a mentor or a friend or a parent, whenever, even your own child, whenever they come up to you and they say, hey, this guy is not good, you're so twisted up. They've gotten themselves, because they always make themselves look like a victim. Narcissists always like to play the victim because they always want to get you to the point where you feel the need to protect them. So when you start feeling like, man, I think, this is a good guy, he's had some bad stuff that happened to him. I gotta protect him. So they'll get you to the point where you go to protecting them or what have you. And that's when you start cutting off people because you feel the need to protect them. You start seeing everybody else as being demonized, as people just, that the devil sent up against your relationship, and that, everybody had problems and what have you. And so you see it like, I need to protect my connection with this person. Even though you were crying out for help, you'll call that friend up on the phone and talk about what's going on with him. But then at the same time, you will, distance yourself from her whenever she says something to you. And she tells you, hey, sis, you haven't been the same since you've been in a relationship with this guy. This guy doesn't love you, sis. You can do way much better. Guys, make sure you're liking this. Make sure you're sharing this. This is going to set somebody free. This is ministry. But they make you feel like you're not, make sure you're liking these guys. But they make you feel like you're not, you feel the need, you feel the need to go out and go off on your friend. And then you're going to call the narcissist in order to secure your connection with the narcissist and say, hey, my friend said this to me and I had to cut my friend off. I'm no longer friends with her. And so what you're doing is you're allowing this connection to grow from like this to you are now like this. You're very, very close. Very, very close. To the point where the narcissist doesn't want to spend a single day outside of you. He does. And when we're dealing with narcissism, guys, I'm using a secular term for the Jezebel spirit. That's just a secular term because a lot of people readily understand that spirit. Thank you, Sister Chantel. God bless you. Thank you. But when you're dealing with the narcissist, they're going to create this strong connection with you to the point where you don't know where they start and where you end. To the point where You're always thinking about them. You're always making sacrifices. You're going to work late. You're quitting your job, or maybe you're giving up your money. You're constantly counseling plans with your family and your friends. You're sacrificing relationships. You're constantly having to give something up for that relationship. So I wanted to make sure that I submit to you on this. Nobody that loves you requires you to give up a relationship. Only God does. You know, no man can call me up and say, I love you, but I don't like your friend. They don't necessarily have to like my friend. I can have a friend in my life that's not that great of a person, but that guy, if he truly loves me, he's not going to ask me to give her up. You know what he's going to do? He'll point out things. Like if I have a dirty friend, if I have a doggish friend, he'll say, hey, I don't like the way she treats you, or what have you. But that's not going to be something that he's focusing all of his attention on. But whenever you're dealing with the narcissist is very strategic. The reason that they remove people from your life is because anybody who loves you threatens when they're giving you fake love and somebody's giving you real love, you have something to compare their fake love to, and you're gonna actually start realizing that, hey, my homegirl is there for me, my homegirl is my friend, my homegirl doesn't make me feel, but this guy does this. So what they do is they start trying to remove everybody from your life who genuinely love you, or they try to create a distant connection where there was once an intimate connection. So where you were once intimate with your, let's say your parents, you were once very close to your parents. Now you have a distant relationship with your parents. You were once very close to your siblings. Now you have a distant relationship with your siblings. Or in a case where you're seeing like Jocelyn Savage, they'll completely, because that's what they want to do, is cut off. Let's say this is you and this is your parent, your father especially. They're going to cut it off. They got to convince you. They'll find something that you did, that the parent did wrong, because your parents going to do some stuff wrong. You're going to do some stuff wrong. Any relationship, if you and I are friends, I'm going to do something that's going to offend you. But what the narcissist does, one of their techniques is to magnify what I did wrong and to extract little different things from it to make you feel like I'm not genuinely your friend. Yeah, I just don't like that she did this. And then if you notice that she did that, their goal is to cut this off and to isolate you. Now, they may allow you to keep certain friends around that worship them, friends that make you feel, like you're stupid friends, that they realize that don't genuinely love you, don't care too much about you. They don't mind you keeping those people around, but they're going to get you to sever connection with everybody that loves you. And so again, they're going to find one little small thing or a few small things that those people have done, and then they'll magnify those things, especially in the middle of an argument. They'll magnify those things, and then I'm going to give you a narcissistic technique. They'll magnify those things in the middle of an argument. Why you talking about your daddy? He don't care nothing about you anyhow. This man ain't even called you. This man don't care nothing about you. Well, they'll do all that, but then the narcissist will turn around in that same day, that same hour, even within that same week, the narcissist will turn around and try to sleep with you. Because what they're trying to do is they have to prove that after I have torn you down, you still love me. You still want me. And if you're silly enough to go to bed with him, while y'all cuddled, everything is over with, he'll be playing in your hair talking about I'm sorry what I said about your dad. It's just I get a little upset. He has to nail it in. He has to, what he's doing while he's laying in that bed is he's sawing at this connection again. Sorry what I said about your dad. It's not that I want you to cut off your dad. It's just I get really mad when I think about how he did you and how he, he's not there for you, what have you. He's planting a seed. Can I give you guys a revelation? Can I give you guys revelation? Let me give you a little bit of revelation. Let me show you how the enemy works. Yeah, I love y'all. One man planted, another man watered, but it is God that gives the increase. Okay, I'm going to just draw something really, really quick here. It's not going to be the best drawing in the world, but it is what it is. It does what it does. It gives what it gives, and it was what it was. Okay. All right. All right, all right, all right, all right. All right, I'm not trying to be um, that deep of a drawer. All right, what we have now is a female. She's not that attractive because I just threw something together. So we have a female right here. There's a concept or there's a scripture that says that one man planteth, another man watered, but it is God that gives the increase. We all understand that Satan does things that are a perverted actual. Thank you. That he, he's always trying to mimic or copy God or mock God. So the narcissist, well, we don't want to draw it. Well, you can draw it here. Will sow a seed. This right here represents a seed. This right here represents a seed. He sows a seed in you in regards to your father, and then he sows a seed in you in regards to your mother. He sows a seed in you in regards to your best friend. He sows a seed in you in regards to your pastor. All of these are seeds that he's sown. Now, he's not going to hammer them. He's not going to hammer them because he knows that it's going to expose him for who he is. So he's going to draw a seed. What the narcissist will then do is whenever there's a seed here, okay, I want to help you to understand this. Whenever there's a seed there, even if you and the narcissist break up, the seed is still there. If you don't reject it and you don't speak the truth at it, the seed is going to still be there. Satan uses certain people to come into your life, and their only goal, their only assignment is to sow a seed. That's it, and that's all. Their only assignment is to sow a seed. Their only assignment is to sow a seed. Whenever that seed is there, the enemy is then going to send people to water that seed because he wants to produce fruit from this seed. So let's just say the one when it comes to your father. The narcissist sows a seed in regards to your father. Now you have this negative belief in regards to your father. And it's not necessarily a big belief. You just feel like, well, everybody got problems or what have you. But then somebody on your job, maybe it's a female, and you happen to be having a conversation with her one day. And because your heart has been twisted in regards to your dad, because the narcissist has already started his Leviathan move of twisting the way that you see your dad, somebody on your job comes up to you, and so it's going to come out in your conversation. So you're talking to this girl, and you tell her, yeah, because my dad, I don't hear from him, and he does this and he does that. And she be like, girl, same thing with my dad. That's why I cut that Negro off. I don't even worry myself with him no more, or what have you. She's watering the seed. It's helping to twist you up all the more. She's watering the seed. So that seed is going to constantly keep being watered until it starts producing fruit. It's going to start getting leaves. Then it's going to start producing fruit. So now the next time you talk to your dad, you're going to push him away because you're going to say the wrong things. You ain't never been there for me anyhow. You don't know. And so the narcissist has successfully watered that. Now it's going to start with your mother. Your mother always, she allowed your dad to act like that. That's my thing. I just feel like she don't do this or what have you. He's going to keep watering that seed, and the enemy is going to send somebody else to water that seed in regards to your mother, water that seed in regards to your friends, and water those seeds in regards to your pastor. There are going to be people that are going to come along and who are going to water all of those seeds until they begin to produce fruit in your life. And so now all of your relationship, he twists the way that you see them into your perspective till you actually see them as enemies. You actually look at them like, because it's a method of deflection. You look at them where, and I don't even want to say deflection. Well, he deflects. He casts his image onto them, and he casts their image onto himself. So he makes himself look like a hero, a loving person, somebody who has your best interest in mind. But you're looking at your pastor. Girl, I had to stop going. I don't even do church no more. I don't do church no more. Because Tyrone showed me something, and he was telling me this or what have you, and he was telling me about tithes, and then he said this, and Tyrone twisted the word of God. Tyrone twisted everything until you started looking at everybody with a side eye. Baby, you're under a spell. You're under witchcraft in that moment. You are under a spell. So now you over here looking at your pastor, looking at your mother, looking at your father with the side eye. Your best friend. Tyrone got you thinking that your best friend actually likes him. I remember a narcissist, that I was with coming to me and saying, "You ain't got no friends." You talking about I ain't got no friends? You met my friends. I ain't gonna say nothing. You ain't got no friends. They ain't your real friends. What was he doing? Removing. He was sowing a seed. They were removing the people. They strategically remove everybody from your life who has any love for you, someone who cares for you, or they create what was once an intimate connection. They make it distant. This allows them to draw closer to you and to accomplish their agenda. One of the age-old questions people tend to ask, especially people who are in relationships with narcissistic people, is, "Well, can the narcissist grow to love me?" No, no. Narcissists need more deliverance than you know. Narcissists, and it's funny that even in the secular world, psychiatrists, psychologists, um, they all say the same thing, that if you, and you can pull it up on Google, they don't have the capacity to love a person. Now, can they be rehabilitated, healed, delivered, all that stuff? Yes, if they want to. But the problem with the narcissist is it's hard for them to get delivered only because they love being worshipped. It's something. There are a lot of sins that we can fall into, that we can give up, but it's hard to give up being worshipped. It is hard. This is one of the reasons why you don't throw your children into the spotlight when they're young. You don't try to hurry up and rush them into the spotlight when they're young, because it is hard for a person who's been placed on a pedestal to have that pedestal lowered. It is hard for them to become normal. So whenever you have a narcissist, typically narcissists are created through pain. They're created through ignorance and pain. So they typically are the products of narcissistic parents or neglectful parents or what have you. The narcissist is so accustomed to being the victim that whenever they do come into themselves, whenever they start kind of growing and they learn to love people worshiping them, or they, let's say it's an attractive woman or it's a handsome guy, whenever they realize that they can have people to worship them, they can have people that will give up everything for them, they get addicted to that feeling. They're addicted to oxytocin, they're addicted to dopamine, and they're addicted to being your God. They're addicted to being your God. And so the Ahab, where the person operating as an Ahab, is easier to save that person because they're going to get wore down. As a matter of fact, it starts to affect their nervous system. They're going to get worn down. They're going to constantly they're going to be drained, confused, frustrated. They're not going to know, like, I don't know if I'm coming or going right now. It's easier for that person. Now, it's difficult for them to get free, but it's easier for that person to get free than for somebody who has a Jezebel spirit or the narcissist. The Bible said in the book of Revelations, when God was rebuking, I think it's the church of Thyatira, he said, "I have this one thing." Let me make sure I'm telling you guys right. "I have this one thing against you. You promote that woman Jezebel to lead my service into sexual immorality." Let's see, I think that was the church of Thyatira. Let's see, who was he rebuking? Because I could get those churches wrong. Thyatira. I was right. So to the church of Thyatira, matter of fact, I can go ahead and read that to you. "And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, these things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not." That is one of the traits of a narcissist, is that they don't repent. That's one of the traits of the narcissist, is that it's very difficult for them to repent. It's very difficult for them to come to understand that what they're doing is wrong. They justify everything that they do. They got a strong Leviathan spirit. They're not trying to. That is Revelation 2:18 through 21. 2:18 through 21. Revelation 2, 18 through 21. So when you're dealing with the narcissist see no need to repent. They see no need to change their behaviors. They love being evil. For me, anytime I've dealt with a narcissist, work with a narcissist, or anytime I've come across a narcissist, a lot of times I found myself in utter awe, but not a good type of awe. It surprises me that people are willing to give themselves over to the enemy like that. And I'm talking about Christians. It surprises me that people are willing. Like, it's a conscious decision. That now, when I say conscious, it doesn't mean that they are necessarily saying they're calling on the name of Satan. I'm talking about they know that they got ways that are wrong, but they willfully give themselves over to the enemy. They willfully continue to surrender themselves because they think that there's some type of benefit at the end of this. So me controlling you, me dominating you, me harassing you, me intimidating you, me manipulating you, at some point I'm going to get something out of it. And typically they have something in mind that they want to accomplish, and they're not willing to let that go. And they feel like, well, I'm Christian. They feel like, well, God knows my heart. And a lot of times they use their pain, their history. God knows my heart, but he also knows what happened to me when I was kidnapped by that man and all this bad crap stuff happened to me or what have you. And so they feel like God owes them something, because God allowed this to happen to me. Even though I'm a Christian, I get to do whatever the heck I want because of what I've been through. I wish God would say something. That's not something they articulate out loud, but that's genuinely the mindset that they have. I wish, and sometimes what I do with people when I'm counseling, a lot of times I have to trace it down. Like, I have to kind of shave down what the person is saying. If the person is talking crazy, I have to shave it down to help them to see what they're really saying. Because on top of Satan is the prince of the power of the air. On top of Satan's voice is your voice. All of the beliefs and all the lies, all of these things on top, underneath it all is Satan's voice. So we have to shave it down till we get right here to what Satan is saying. Because right now you're layering it. You're constantly saying, and you can notice that you're pregnant with something, but you're constantly layering it with all of this stuff. And so you'll say, Tiffany, I get what you're saying, but the reason I had left my church, it wasn't for that guy. The reason I left my church was because, I started feeling like this, and, the pastor had rebuked me about, this, about me coming to church late or what have you. And I'm like, I noticed that sister such and such, and if they be late, he don't say nothing to them. So why is it that he felt the need to say something to me? That's the reason why. Oh, what have you? Okay, sis, that's not that big of a deal. To whom much is given, much is required. Maybe he had more expectation. Maybe you had more favor. If you got more favor, you're going to get more rebukes. So that's not necessarily a bad thing that he was rebuking you. Then she's gonna, when she realizes I've dismantled this layer here. I'm showing you guys the science. Once she realizes I've dismantled this layer here, then I'm gonna come across another excuse. And then another thing, I noticed that, whenever we came to the church, I'm trying to think of some type of excuse people typically throw out. He don't even speak. Like, girl, I've been there a couple of times and he ain't even spoke to me. Well, maybe his mind is on something. Says, people are not necessarily, it doesn't mean that they don't like you, they don't love you, or that they don't care anything about you. But how many people in your church? Is it over 200? Yeah. Yeah, he probably don't. It's not that he doesn't want to speak. It's just that body language tells him that the way you turn toward him, that you want a conversation. He trying to get from the pew to the office. Because you know what? If he stopped right there, you gonna hold a whole conversation with him, and 12 other people are gonna gather around and wait, because everybody wants their special time. Everybody wants their special time. And so, since it's not that he doesn't like you, and what have you, but he notices you when you're standing there. Your body language says, I'm about to engage. And maybe his personal history with you is that you're chatty, that you're not going to let him go. And you're going to chat about a whole lot of stuff. So when he's walking by, he may say, hey, and then he keeps going. He has to rush by you. It's nothing personal. It's just how you're wired. I just destroyed this layer right here. See, what I'm doing is what I'm trying to do is I got to abort that lie. Satan's voice is right here. I got to abort that lie. Now we get to right here. And then, girl, I heard, somebody told me that, Somebody told me that, let's see, trying to think of something without saying something crazy. But somebody told me, girl, that he don't even study the Bible. They said that he getting into some other stuff. He be teaching us wrong or what have you. You sit under him, right? You study the Bible for yourself, and that's confirmation. When he gives you information, you're supposed to take it home and study it so that you can get confirmation. So, sis, I haven't seen him teach anything that's outside the will of God as of right now. I just destroyed another layer. So I didn't kill all of these layers. As we get down here, she's going to become more and more defensive. More and more defensive because I'm getting closer to Satan. I'm getting closer to this seed that's up in there. Satan's going to try to get her ticked off with me before I get over here. He got to get her ticked off with me before I get over here because I'm going to discover him, at some point. Now we didn't kill all, 3 or 4 layers. And so now and then too, it's just that, girl, for me, I don't think I should say this, but sometimes I just be real uncomfortable. And my discernment, what discernment? What are you talking about? You couldn't even discern that person that was gossiping to you was wrong. First and foremost, you shouldn't allow somebody to gossip about your pastor. So you couldn't even discern that. So sis, right now, I wouldn't necessarily trust my discernment if I were you. You gotta wait. I mean, you gotta mature, but I wouldn't necessarily tell you to trust your discernment because sometimes that's just the enemy. The enemy has hijacked and he's gonna twist your perspective of your pastor. Another layer killed. Now we got about 3 more layers before we get to the enemy. The more you go in, the more defensive she's gonna get. That's when I get down to the last layer, she'll look at me and say, well, first and foremost, I ain't no yes person. Oh, now you're trying to attack me. Passive aggressiveness. Now you're trying to offend me. The enemy then has to offend me to keep himself hidden. Because I know some people, they just turn their pastors into their God. Who said my pastor was my God? But they're not saying it directly to you, but they're being indirect, they're being passive aggressive. And so some people, they can do all this for their pastors and stuff, but girl, please, I got a whole life or what have you. I don't worship nobody but the living God. Me, I'm a direct person. If you come at me like that, sometimes, if I don't know you that well, I can probably laugh at you and let you go. But in a lot of cases, I'm going to hit you direct. I'll say first and foremost, I don't worship nobody. I'm not a yes man. I'm not that type of person. I happen to be a person who believes in honor. And so I do believe that, a lot of times when it comes to honor, somebody who is broken can see that. And you are broken. You can see that because your perspective has been twisted. You will see that way, but that's not necessarily what that is. If you sit down and have a conversation and you decide, I want to have a deeper connection with God and I want to honor the people that God placed in my life, you would understand it. But because you don't have that, you're not gonna. I don't expect you to understand it. And so right now I got down to this layer, but now she's starting to offend me. She's offended with me. Now she's starting to offend me because I'm about to abort that seed. I'm about to abort that seed. Now, if she listens and she respects me and she honors me, we'll get to the enemy. If she respects me and she honors me, we'll get to the enemy. And then she'll start talking about, hey, my daddy walked out of my life, and it's like every man I've ever been with, they do this to me and they do that to me. Okay. Now the root of it is your rejection. That's the root of it. The root of it is your rejection. So, sis, can I pray for you? If she wants it, can I pray for you? Yeah. Rejection, come up and out now. In the name of Jesus. Let's renounce that rejection. Now, one of the things I want you to do is I want you to start forgiving people because all of these layers were lies. All of these layers were lies. Once Satan get the seed in, the Bible says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Once Satan gets the seed in, you can't cast it down from here. You're going to have to cast it out. It becomes a deliverance issue. It becomes a stronghold. And so when the narcissist is throwing seeds. Your daddy still ain't called you. Your mama still ain't apologized. Your brother, he's still doing this, or your sister still doing that. They throw those seeds in there because what they want to do is, once that seed is in there, if you don't cast it down, if you don't address it, it's going to start, you're pregnant, it's going to start developing layers and voices and excuses all around that seed until you begin to defend your beliefs. Your belief system has been hijacked until you begin to defend your beliefs. You start to defend it. Guys, I don't know if y'all realize the level of revelation you guys are getting right now. But you start to defend your belief. And while you're defending your belief, it takes somebody to come in and to dig that crap out of you, to cut it out, to address it, and to cast it out. Now, once that seed has been cast out, that void needs to be filled with revelation, with light. You need to get some books, some understanding, some wisdom, some mentorship. You need to get some stuff up in there so that the enemy can't come back, because another narcissist will come along and they're going to throw another seed. The narcissist is going to go around and they're going to constantly keep throwing seeds. And once that seed gets in, it's going to create a layer. Then there's going to be another layer of excuses, another layer, and another layer. So anytime I'm talking with people, for example, and I start hearing excuses or offense or stuff like that, I know I'm dealing with a layer. Underneath that layer is going to be the enemy. Underneath it all is going to be the enemy. And so the person feels a need to protect their belief, to defend their belief, so that they don't necessarily have to get free. And so again, you'll be dealing with the Leviathan spirit. So the Leviathan twists things that when the enemy uses the narcissist, he's going to use the narcissist to twist or screw something into your mind, to twist it or to screw it. So he takes a situation like when it comes to your dad, or your best friend, or your mother, or maybe even your child. Let's just say your child. Yeah, you're going to have to get him under control. I know he's 12, but he got a little attitude. And if you don't correct that, yeah, that is something bad's going to happen. First and foremost, you and I are not on that level for you to be talking or telling me, giving me parenting tips. I'm sorry. To be talking about my child. So he's saying that because the child's not speaking to him, he doesn't have the child under control. And so because he doesn't have your child under control, and he notices that your son is not running up behind him, he starts feeling intimidated. So he has to sow a seed, and he starts to twist things up about your son, to the point where you start feeling like you can't handle being a mother, to the point where you start feeling like, maybe I do need to send my son to live with his father. A boy needs his daddy. I think that it would probably be better. Is his dad present? I think it'd be best if his dad were very active in his life. Now he's not going to want the father to come into your life and to become active. He'll try to get your son out of your house, or to twist your perspective in regards to your son, and that way he can get your son under subjection. If you're going to keep your son, he can at least establish in your son's psyche, and it's in your son's mind that, Negro, I got power in this house. Your mom and I may not be living together, but I got power over you. So if you want to stay on your mother's good side, if you want to stay, constantly keep your comfort or what have you, you better stay on my good side. That's what he's going to establish. So I wanted you guys to come to understand narcissism, and when it comes to soul ties, the enemy is always trying to hijack your heart. He's always trying to hijack your belief system, but you have to keep people at a distance. Whenever you come in contact, thank you for everybody who has liked this video, who shared this video. But anytime you come in contact with people, let's just say you're dating somebody, whenever you exchange numbers, you don't go into a deep, intimate connection immediately. That is not something that you want to do. What you want to do is take your time and allow the person to genuinely show you who they are, because a narcissist knows that they know that they're going to reveal who they are or how they are in a matter of weeks. For the most part, they're going to reveal who they are and how they are in a matter of weeks. But in that time that they're getting to know you, they have to hurry up and love bomb you, so that by the time you see who they are and how they are, you're so deceived into thinking that you can fix them, or you're so deceived into thinking that you're not seeing what you're truly seeing, and that the issue is you, that they can secure themselves in a relationship with you. Again, we want to make sure that we are praying for Sister Jocelyn, because she is a victim of a narcissist. And I've seen a lot of people online. I think that whenever she came out the first time and she, did this thing on Pantheon or what have you, a lot of people came and attacked her. And so to the point where she said, well, that wasn't me. That wasn't my account. Because she's weak, and when I say weak, it's not condescending. When I say weak, meaning she doesn't have muscles in an area when it comes to people. She doesn't know how to um, respond to people criticizing her. So when she had all of these people who were defending R. Kelly coming out and criticizing her, she didn't know what to do. She didn't know it, so she just kind of retreated, because it kind of leaned into what he was saying. Hey, I got everybody backing me. You got nobody backing you. You better stay with me, or what have you. And then, if you stay with me, you'll be in a good spot. And right now, there is a reward for sticking with somebody like that. Whenever you're dealing with the narcissist, you feel like, okay, finally, I'm about to get my reward, because everybody else has left him in this hour, but I'm the only one sticking around. So the narcissist will make you feel like, in his case, I'll get out of prison and I'm going to beat these charges like I did before. I'm going to have another number one hit. And you've proven yourself. You have proven that you love me. You have proven. And so you're going to be the next Aaliyah. You're going to be the girl on my arms. You're going to be the person that I'm promoting out. And so you have to look at the history of the narcissist and their relationships to get a forecast of what's going to happen to you, rather than deceiving yourself into believing that your story is going to look a little different. That's what the narcissist wants you to believe, that your situation, your outcome is going to look different than your predecessors, than the women who come before you. Your situation is going to look different, if only you are to submit yourself, to surrender yourself, and to allow them to have whatsoever it is that they want. So I want you guys to make sure that you're interceding for her. But I also want you to come to understand this, before I close. Understand the heart of love. Guys, since I've been on this journey with God, you guys hear me, I talk about this passionately. Since I've been on this journey with God, it's really blown my mind that what I was looking for in men, I found it in him. Even more than that, what I was looking for in men, I found it in him. But because I was raised to believe I needed a man and I had to have a man, I chased men. I chased relationships. I was always in a relationship with somebody. And I found myself in a relationship with a lot of narcissists. And the thing about it is because I didn't know the love of God. So I settled for a bunch of feelings. I settled for a bunch of words. I settled for cute faces and dimples and all of that stuff. But I didn't realize I was settling. And then even in some cases where a lot of times women can discern that they're not loved, that they can kind of sense that, hey, this isn't love. I want to believe it's love, but sometimes women can sense that. But one of the things I've learned, or I've noticed that women tend to do, is they feel like, well, I can at least teach him to love me. I can at least teach him to love me. How am I going to teach him to love me? I just got to sit back and, I got to just be there for him. And I got to prove myself through the hard times. I got to prove myself through the hard times. So when something really bad happens, where everybody, a lot of times people, when the narcissist does something really bad, women feel like this is my opportunity to prove myself, because everybody's mad at him. Everybody's walking out his mouth. His own mama mad at him. His own kids mad at him. His homeboys mad at him. But I can prove myself by sticking around and showing that, regardless of the fact that everybody else is mad at you, I am still in your corner. I want to help you to understand that still doesn't change anything when you're dealing with a narcissistic person. A narcissist is not going to look at you and right. You have to listen to my other messages to see that I deal with that men and female thing. I don't just deal with y'all are kind of new to the video. Anyhow, but when we're dealing with the narcissist, they're gonna always make you feel like you're proving yourself, or I see now that you are real, that you really genuinely love me, and that you care for me, or what have you. And that's not always the case. It's not always the case. At the end of the day, you're not going to get the narcissist to love you. I hate to put that to you. I had to put it to you plain because some of you on here are entertaining narcissists. You're not going to get them to love you. I know the lie that women typically tell themselves is that eventually that person is going to come to love me. I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to cook. I'm going to make love to him, and then I'm going to be by his side. I'm going to be by his side through thick and thin. And a lot of times whenever a man goes through the thick, a lot of times we get really excited because we feel like this is my opportunity to prove myself. When everybody else is falling out of his life, when bad things are happening to him, he lost his job, he lost his car, he's losing so many things in his life. Then for me to stand there and show him that I'm still here, I'm proving my love to you. And so it causes the man to feel like, wow. And then so the fantasy is that he'll change and he'll appreciate you all the more. So I'm going to get ready to close, but I'm going to say this. A lot of times I have people that come onto the videos relatively late, and they don't necessarily follow me or know my heart in regards to a thing. So we can kind of start twisting the conversation into something that it is not. If you follow me, one of the things you're going to notice is that I have a tendency, I deal with females as well. I deal with the issues with females and I deal with the issues with males. So I'm not going to come and try to make a video in a lot of cases unisex, because a lot of times it gets weird when I say he and she, and we constantly having to do he and she and stuff like that. So this is not a thing where we're trying to balance it out. My teachings are balanced throughout my YouTube channel. So let me just say that if you're coming in and you don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, and you just hear me talking to females, I would kind of admonish you to first get to understand what I'm talking about before you start responding. Because a lot of times, again, it's just twisting the conversation. And now it's like, yeah, I'm not going to feel the need to come back and say, oh my gosh, I'm getting scared, so let me say this, anyhow, I'm moving on for that. I'm not trying to be offensive, but at the same time, it is a little annoying when you see people coming in the comments that are twisting things, or what have you, and they don't necessarily know what you're talking about. So I say all of that to say this. Let's make sure that we are praying for Sister Jocelyn. Let's make sure that we are praying for her deliverance. Let's make sure that we're praying for the many people. And also, I wanted to make sure that you guys have an education in regards to the narcissist. And of course, if you happen to be male, you can take this revelation and apply it to a female. There are narcissistic females. If you guys don't know my story, I got 2 uncles that are 6 feet under because of narcissistic females. So I'm very balanced in my teaching. In regards to that, you guys know I will go in on a female. But when we're dealing with the narcissist, it is very important that we understand or we educate ourselves. God said that my people perish for lack of knowledge. It's important that we educate ourselves in regards to that spirit, so we're not falling into the traps of the enemy. Again, it's important for you. The Bible says in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. Everything else will be added to you. And so what God is trying to do is his passion, his desire is to get you to know the love of God. God knows this about the human because God created us. He knows how we are wired. But what he does is he understands that if I can get you and I can untwist all of these lies out of you, I can pull all that perversion out of you. If I can do all of this, and I can get you to open yourself up to my love and truly wholeheartedly receive my love, then what's going to happen is, okay, awesome. But what's going to happen is God knows that what's going to happen is you're going to start to be filled in those areas. And so there will be no room for the narcissist. Whenever the narcissist does come and audition for a role in your life, there's no space in your life for the narcissist. And so whenever they start throwing seeds, because you guarded your heart, when they throw the seed, you're going to kind of backhand it. When they come up to you and say, you believe that what your pastor be teaching, he said this and he said that, he said that was 1 Corinthians 4:13, but actually that's 1 Corinthians 1:11. Okay, he still spoke the word, right? So yeah, he's human, so he can mess that up. And so whenever they start throwing that seed, you'll bat it. But not only will you bat it, but you'll get rid of them. See, whenever you're dealing with a narcissist, you cannot continue to entertain them, because even though they were unsuccessful in getting the seed in, if you're constantly in my ear, familiarity is going to allow you to no longer have to wait in the waiting room of my conscious, where now trust starts to build, and you go to my you're able to access my subconscious, which is my heart. Over time, a connection will form. So I don't want you to think that just because you're on the phone with a guy arguing with him. Matter of fact, argumentative people create soul ties. That's what when you're dealing with Jezebel, when you're dealing with the narcissist, they create arguments because they create arguments because arguments. Think about this. You work at Applebee's. Let's just say you're a waiter at Applebee's. Who are you most likely to remember? That customer who was really nice to you, or the one that was nasty? Who are you most likely to remember? The one who was nice to you. I want to see your answers. The one that was really nice to you, or the one that was super nasty? Who are you most likely to remember? Y'all scared to answer that? Okay, I'll answer it for you. You're most likely to remember. Don't try to come back and answer it after I say something. You try to act like it was just taking you a long time to type. But you're the nasty one. You're most likely to remember the nasty one. Nasty people create soul ties by disagreeing with you. Nasty people there are different ways that people create soul ties with you guys. Soul ties are not always favorable. Sometimes somebody can create a soul tie. When that person comes back into Applebee's, you remember that person. You know what? Your soul is your mind, will, and your emotions. They mess with your emotions. You're going to remember that person. That was the objective in the first place. They were nasty because that's how they create relationships. See, because they don't know, I'm going to say it. They're not cute enough to create a nice a connection with you just by smiling and saying, hi, how are you? They're not cute enough for that. So they come into your job. They come up, you like, sit right here. Can you sit me somewhere else? I don't like sitting right here. I don't like sitting in this place. Okay. They're going to take them to a different seat. Can I get you anything? No, just give me the menu and I'll let you know when I'm ready. Okay. So you give them the menu. You walk away. You waiting on them 20 minutes later. They still haven't said that they're ready. Can I get a waitress over here? Table 3. You go over there. Yes, ma'am. Dang it, I thought I was going to have to wait forever. You said you're going to, whatever. What is your broccoli scampi? What is that? I mean, what does that come with? Is a lot of shrimp in there? Well, I mean, what exactly is this? Okay. That person will take you through hell because they're narcissistic and they want to create a bad connection. They want you to remember them and be intimidated by them. That's the reason why I'm going to give you, for those of you who are waitresses, y'all don't even know. I think some of y'all don't even know. Some of you who are waitresses, whenever you're dealing with a narcissist, you better create a science in dealing with them, because what they're going to think her name was Mary. Is she here? I want to sit at her table. Because they punked you. They intimidated you. They know that they can control you. They know that they can run you crazy. They know that they can make themselves number one amongst all of the people, because you're going to be constantly rushing over to their table because you don't want to make them mad, because they use their emotions to intimidate people. And so they'll come up there and they'll create a connection. So sometimes some people come in, or they try to come into your life, and they have to be argumentative. They have to sit up there and they have to do something, because what narcissists do is they twist their way into your heart. They twist their way in. They got to twist their way in. They got to be argumentative. They got to be contrary. They have to twist their way in to get you to remember who they are, to get you to respond. So whenever they come around, you see them and you're just like, okay, I really don't want. And that's why, even for myself, a lot of times when I see people, for example, I come back and check the comments on my videos from time to time, and I see people leaving negative comments. A lot of times what I'll do is I will delete their comment. Whenever they let somebody come to my video, like my last video, sometimes I'll leave it up to show people how silly folks can be. But sometimes, last video, my cleavage was showing a little bit. And you guys know I'm not a person that come around showing cleavage. I'm not a person that come around, but then you start seeing people coming and wanting to say something or what have you. It's like I did a whole video full of revelation and all you saw were tickle bitties. Yeah, that's all you saw were tickle bitties, and that's what you extracted from that. But a lot of times people do that type of stuff because they're trying to get some type of semblance of control. They're trying to get you to feel like, pay attention to my comment. Pay attention to me, pay attention to this or what have you. They try to control the narrative or the perspective or twist the perspective of how you see people. I'm gonna give y'all a revelation on a narcissist. I'm gonna have it so much to the point where, listen, they're gonna come to my channel and get either saved, delivered, or they're gonna get the heck off of my channel. They're gonna get the heck off of my channel. So a lot of times it's about twisting your perspective. It's about changing the way that you see the world, changing the way that you see other people, changing the way that you see everything. Right? Stop watching. I'm just like, dang it, I'm a little bit blessed in that area. And you put on the shirt just so and I'm gonna say this and I'll get ready to close in the next 5 minutes. But if I wear a shirt and you ever see, because I think this is like the second time I've worn a shirt on YouTube where I when I went back and watched the replay, I can see a little bit of cleavage, and I had to make a decision. Do I want to tear that video down along with the revelation, or do I want to leave it up and then have to face the critics that feel like you're trying to? But I'm like, no. And God deals with me. People who come and follow you, they know your character. They know your character. People who don't follow you don't know your character. And so they may follow you a couple of times, but they don't know your character. And because they don't know your character, they're, trying to tell you. And one thing I've learned about people, I'm going to put this out there, and I don't care who I offend. One thing that I've learned about people, once they try to correct you one time, they never stop. Once they try to correct you one time, like sometimes you'll receive correction from a person says something, what have you, you kind of accept it. Then from that point on, they feel like they're your pastor. Every time you do something, then they'll start getting in your inbox. Sister Tiffany, you said this, and I felt like you were a little bit off on that. I want to go ahead and put this out there. Y'all, I'm a deliverance minister. I will read you your rights in my inbox. A lot of times I ignore people because I'm just like, you know what? I will set this person straight. Like, first and foremost, I got a whole pastor who I submit to. You are not my pastor. So don't come for me like that. You don't know me for you to be trying to correct me. So I don't understand who you think. I don't know what you think this is. I don't know who told you, who made you. I have an apostle over me. I don't know who made you chief apostle, where you feel like you got the right to come in my inbox and try to tell me how to dress, where you feel like you got the right to come on my Facebook statuses and come on all my statuses and try to correct me. You are out of your mind. And for the people who tried that with me, you have gotten grace. But listen, y'all got to stop doing it. Y'all got to get some deliverance. Because I sit up there looking like, who told you was my apostle? Who told you were my pastor? Who told you were my leader? I don't even know you like that for you to try to tell me God sent him to be your accountability partner. Good Lord. It's silly. People out here really going to folks' YouTube channels and trying to become their leaders. And they'll try to correct you one time. And if you sit back, now I'm correctable. I'm not a person that resists correction at all. But from that point on, next thing you know, they in your comments always. Every time you look up, they got something critical to say. And I don't care how many folks get mad. I'm going to call it what it is. Because one thing about it is there's a whole big old pretty unfollow button on my page that is it's active. There's a follow button. Make sure you guys are following this. But there's always people coming on your page that feel the need. And like I said, a lot of times my experience with them is the minute you receive correction one time, from that point on, the Negroes be on every page you got, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, just any page that you got. They be on your right, Sister Tiffany. The next time, just speak up a little bit louder because your voice was down. And I'm just like, man, y'all, I'm sorry, I don't care. I'd be like, Jezebel, I don't know who you think this is. I don't know who you think this is. I will set you and your demon straight. I gotta get off here because I get passionate on that. I will shut you and your demon down. Because I don't know who you think this is, where you coming up trying to correct somebody. There's a proper way to do everything. There's things that you do in love and in order. And like I said, I don't want you guys to think that I'm objecting to somebody saying something to me and saying, hey sis, if I happen to be on video and I don't notice something, I don't mind that, but leave it that one time. Don't come at me a second time. Don't keep coming for me a second time. You got to realize, because at that point, that's a spirit. I'm gonna call it what it is. At that point, it's a spirit. It's just a controlling spirit, and so that person starts to feel like they feel like they have to police your videos. They got to police your page, and so they got to come on your page. I completely understand this, but then they got to say something else, and it's just like, I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna be quiet right now, but you're about to find yourself blocked. You're about to find yourself blocked. Go get some healing and some deliverance and stop trying to walk around. Stop being an unemployed Jezebel looking for somebody to control, because you ain't finding it with me. So I got to get off of here before I had to end up deleting this video before I say something, because y'all, I get passionate about that type of stuff. Like, you didn't find it in me. You did not find yourself in Ahab. Ain't no Ahab over here. You ain't going to find yourself no Ahab over here. You're not going to be constantly coming up over here trying to pastor me. I have a whole pastor. So anyhow, I have to speak the truth. Sometimes I have to speak the truth, and I hope I spoke it in love enough for you guys to know my heart. You guys know my character. You know that I love y'all dearly. I appreciate every last one of you guys. I sincerely do. And I'm not a person that is against correction, but I am against people that, all that feel the need to, start policing me. And it's like, okay, I don't know what you think this is. I don't know what you think this is. I don't know who you think you're talking to. But one thing you're not going to do is be coming on my channel and then all of a sudden you're always in my comments talking about something that I've done. Thank you, Brother Chris. Thank you, Sister Chrissy. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Sister Tamisha. But policing everything that I've done. I've had people to reach out to me and they've done things in love and they say, hey, sis. And most people don't do that, because one thing about it is, like, I love my pastor. Thank you, South Africa. Thank you, Sister Mashadi. God bless you. I was actually looking at property the other day in South Africa. I'm actually starting to think like that was a prophetic word that I was going to live in other countries. And so I just had this desire lately. I was thinking about South Africa. So I was pulling up houses in South Africa. But like I said, I have a pastor and I love my pastor dearly, but I don't correct my pastor. I don't do that. Like, it's just an honor thing, Now, if he, said 2 Corinthians 14 and he kept saying it in the 2 Corinthians 13, I may catch him on the side and say, Pastor, you were saying that. But, I ain't going to say that in front of people. That'd be something I catch him in quiet and in silence. But I'm not going to make a habit of that. I'm not going to try to make a habit of that, because then when I start trying to police, then that's usurp authority. When I start trying to police and I say, yeah, Pastor, yeah, you did it again. Right there is out of order. That's out of order. So you got to be careful with that type of stuff. I don't go to people's pages doing that kind of stuff, and I definitely don't be getting folks inbox. Like I just be scratching my head at the gall of people. Right, I got the Holy Spirit. Yeah, I never thought about moving to Ghana. I don't know too much about Ghana, but I do want to check out South Africa. I do want to live in South Africa. I want to buy a property. I was actually looking at houses in South Africa. All right. I pray that you guys were blessed with this video, and that you took something from it, that it blessed your life. I will be coming back talking about the Wifeable mentorship for those of you who want to sign up for the mentorship. It's going to be, thank you. Amen, Sister Kai. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you, sis. But I'm looking forward to the Wifeable mentorship. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to coach you guys. This is going to be exciting, to just really get close to some of you guys, get to know you a little bit more. I want to just give you a little bit of this before I close. When it comes to the Wifeable mentorship, I've decided I'm going to have levels of it. The Wifeable mentorship, you'll have the opportunity. What I do know so far is that you'll have the opportunity to pay for it in segments, meaning you can pay for the quarter, 6 months, or a year. Thank you, Sister Ashley. God bless you. You can pay for the quarter. And let me leave this, because I always want to make sure, for those of you who want to leave a seed, let me leave you the Cash App. But you'll be able to pay for the quarter. All right. Yeah, you'll be able to pay for the quarter. I won't do month to month. I'm not going to do month to month. The reason I decided to do not do month to month is because I don't want any trial mindsets. I don't want people coming in and they want to pay per month, because people who pay per month typically quit. Because a lot of times what they do is they pay per month so that they can have a way out. Because they are led by their emotions, they're a slave to their emotions or what have you. So they just like to have that ability. Yeah, the best is Cash App. You can do PayPal as well. I'll type that in. But Cash App is going to be the better option, only because here they take quite a bit of that. It's going to be group sessions, but as we go along, one thing about it is, as we go along over the course of time, some people are going to stay and some people are going to get or fall off. I don't typically start doing one-on-ones until we're halfway or almost all the way through it, and that's because, for example, think of this: I charge $99 an hour for coaching. Sometimes people will get into a program like that just to circumvent or try to get around that fee, that $99 coaching. And so if I do one-on-one, they're gonna be just like, they're gonna be just, getting up in there, and let's just say I say $30 a month, which is what I'm thinking of. If I say $30 a month, they'll come in, pay the $30, and then want that one-on-one coaching session or what have you. And so they'll just circumvent the fee. But if I say, hey, we're going to be doing 3/4, which means, you can pay $99 for, for a quarter, not 3/4, but for a quarter for 3 months. If I say that, then more likely I'm going to be doing like a lot of group sessions, but over time, the people who, for example, somebody who pays for the entire year is not going to quit because they're already invested in it. Yeah, group is actually better, but they're actually invested in it, and so for them, because they've invested in it, they're less likely to pull out. People who pay month to month, they kind of get, they'll do crazy stuff and what have you, because they know that hey, I ain't paid you. You got to wait on this money or what have you. And then too, you have to trace people. Like the people who pay every month, you have to always go behind them. You got to go and look and say, okay, such and such hasn't paid yet. And they won't say anything until you say something to them. They won't say anything until you say something to them. So awesome. Thank you. Um, Amen. Thank you. But they won't say anything until you say something to them. So a lot of times you have to hunt them down. Yeah, a lot of times you have to hunt them down. So I'm going to do a yearly package, and the yearly package is going to be very discounted. It's going to be, I don't want to say very discounted because I don't want to create a false hope, but it's going to be discounted. I'm going to have a yearly package. I'm going to have a 6-month package and a 3-month package. The 3-month package, I'm going in on you, because still people who register for 3 months are less likely to stick around. Can do quarterly. Yeah, that's quarterly. It says just break it up into 4 quarters. You can pay per quarter. And I know that some people probably can't necessarily afford to do the entire year at one time, and I respect that. But at the same time, I just want to make sure that people are not getting in and then they've become a slave to quitting. Because a lot of people, in all our honesty, one of the things I want to do, just to give you guys a little bit of insight into Wifeable, I want to start with the foundation. Like the first quarter or part of the first quarter, I want to deal with the counseling aspect. I want you guys to I want to hear your stories. I want to deal with the counseling aspect. Now, I'm not saying one-on-one and you're going to be counseling and you're going to be crying on the phone or what have you. I don't want to create a false expectation, but I do want to deal with the counseling aspect to help you to understand love or what have you. I want you to understand what love is. This is going to be high level accountability. Like, there are going to be levels to this, by high level accountability. There are going to be some people over the course of time in the mentorship that I'm going to bring close to me, and there are going to be some people who are going to stay at a distance. And it's going to be completely up to that person. People who come close, just so you know, for those of you, people who come close are usually the people who typically volunteer. They say, hey, Tiff, I want to learn more. One thing, they're not manipulative. I get annoyed when I have manipulative people trying to get close to me in the wrong way, because it's just annoying to me. It's just not necessary. Like if you start an argument with me and or you do something stupid to get my attention, and you're trying to force a connection that way. People tend to do crazy stuff like that, and it really it irks the crap out of me. But the better way to do it, I'll say this: I had a mentorship where my last mentorship, I had some girls that come out of it, and two of them I actually bought pretty close. One of them is still really close. The other one, yeah, she volunteered, and then she got a job, and so she decided to go and back into the whole 9 to 5 thing. That's another thing I want to make sure that I mention is this: I'm gonna break that slavery spirit off of you. That slavery to a 9 to 5, yeah, you're gonna have a job and all that, but for the people who I bring close, it's gonna be the people who can get past their flesh. For the people who can get past, because, and I want to give you this realistic expectation when it comes to that type of stuff. Like if you write a book and you start a business or you do anything like that, I want y'all to understand, hear this when I say this: there is a level of warfare that comes with that. A lot of people don't realize there is a level of warfare. Whenever even I write books, and sometimes, yes, it's gonna be like this. It'll be like this, but it'll be on a Facebook group, and a lot of times what I'll do is a Facebook group where thank you, Sister Woodline. God bless you. You say you have a quitting spirit. Please don't judge me, but I'll quit over 30 jobs in the past 3 years due to depression. Oh, and want to work at 9 to 5. How do I break that? You have to commit to something beyond your feelings. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur doesn't stop me from having feelings. I'm an entrepreneur, and I also volunteer at my church. I do a lot of volunteering. So I'm gonna have to be at my church, for example, tomorrow. The majority of the day, volunteer. I got to be at my church tonight for service, and then I'll be doing some volunteer. Now I volunteer on the back end with my pastor. So in all of that, there's always a temptation to quit. There are times when I'm frustrated. There are times when I'm overwhelmed. There are times when, honestly, I just really don't want to deal with people. I have those moments where I really don't want to deal with people. I don't want to see nobody. I want everybody to go to heck on. I have those times where I just kind of feel like I want to be off to myself. But nevertheless, I still have a workload in front of me. Regardless of what I feel, I do what I'm supposed to do. So I never allow myself to become a slave to my feelings. And that's one of the major issues that a lot of women have. A lot of women are a slave to their feelings. They're a slave to their feelings. So what they do, and when I say a slave, I'm talking about their emotions are their God. They're Christian, they call themselves Christian, but God is just one of the deities in their life. Their emotions are their God. And so whenever they get offended or intimidated on a job, or they get offended or intimidated in a place, they start getting overwhelmed with thoughts. They start getting overwhelmed. And then a lot of times what they start doing is they start pulling out. They start feeling like, um, I can't go up. I'm feeling anxiety. Well, I feel anxiety a lot of times when I'm working. I had four publishing customers that had deadlines. I had a website customer who doesn't necessarily know wholeheartedly what he wants on his website. He tried to get a whole lot for what he paid, and so I had all these other. Oh, I had a logo customer. I always have logo customers, but I had one that was ordering 2 logos, specialty logos. So I had all of these piles of things, and then plus I'm volunteering with my pastor. I had all of these things on top of me within the last, and this is the reason I came up missing for a month. But I had all of these things packed up and stacked up on top of me. Do I feel the weight of it? Oh yeah. Listen, I wish I could have said that in a man's voice. Oh yeah. Do I feel the weight? I always feel the weight of that. But I've come to understand that that's to be expected. That's to be expected. So when I feel the weight of that, I can actually get the weight up off of me and quit and pull out, or I can manage the weight and get stronger. So I manage the weight, and I don't shortcut. Like, I don't give a customer, when I'm publishing their book, I don't throw that stuff to them. I want to tell you one of the temptations, and I'm going to tell you guys a secret. So for those of you who are still logged in, one of the things I've been talking about doing, I talked about this on YouTube, not YouTube, my Facebook page the other day. But one of the things I'm looking to do is I'm going to be recruiting some people. I'm going to be teaching them how to format books and stuff, but I'm bringing them under my company, under my organization, because I have to partner up with some people or what have you. But I'm not going to do that with everybody. I have to do that with disciplined people. Because when somebody's disciplined, they already understand the anxiety of serving. They understand the anxiety of, when you're at home, let's just say you're serving at your church. When you're at home, man, I'm tired. I don't feel like going nowhere. I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to look at nobody's face. I don't want to be bothered with nobody. I'm tired. I've been working all week long. I ain't had an off day. I got one off day, and they expect me to be at that church. They expect me to be at the church. Nevertheless, this is what I signed up for. So they still get up despite what they feel and go down to the church. Despite what they feel. But somebody who's a slave to their feelings will have a different narrative. And they expect me to be at that church. Shoot, I ain't about to be out, girl, please. And they don't care nothing about people. So they'll just keep on they'll talk themselves out of their blessing, rather than saying, this is a feeling, but my feeling, I can't serve how I feel. For me, I have to look at what it is that I want, what I want to accomplish in this life, and ask myself, can I accomplish it this way? The deception of the enemy is to make you think that you can partner your way to success. I see a lot of people doing that. They are power moves. They come up there and then let's just say they go to an event and there's a big name person there. So a lot of times people come up to them and they like, here, I want to get all your books signed. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm this. And so a lot of times they say, I preach, here's my business card or what have you. I'm a prophetess and I'm this and I'm that. But they try to partner their way up because they're hoping that the person sees some type of value in them. And, they try to partner their way up. I want to tell you the way up is called discipline. It's called information and it's called discipline. Whenever you get disciplined, that means that when I'm dealing with this overwhelming feeling to quit, I don't give into it. When I'm dealing with the overwhelming feeling okay, I'll say this. Let me get ready to close from behind here. I get customers, like editing customers. Editing, I'm a passionate editor who doesn't always like to edit. I'm a passionate editor who doesn't always like to edit. So, and it depends on the book. But editing customers, they'll pay me to edit their books or what have you. One of the reasons I'm not always excited to edit is because I'm so passionate. So when I'm editing, I see something doesn't make sense. I got to change it. I don't change a person's book, but I may change a sentence around. I may go into like 20 sentences and I see one sentence that just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to try to type it out the way they're trying to say. And of course, they get to accept whether, it's in track changes. So they're able to accept or reject the changes or what have you. Because I'm passionate about what I do, I turn around and I send it to the client. The client gets to accept, reject, and all that. I then turn around and take that document. As soon as they send it back to me, I send it to a second editor. And the second editor edits the document. Or they proofread. They go behind me. They catch what I didn't catch or what have you. I think I'm a 90% or I'm going to catch 90% of the errors. But the other person or 95% and the other person is going to catch more of the other errors. Now, that editor is not necessarily going to catch everything. That editor, a lot of times when I'm working with editors, it's hard to come across people who are passionate for editing. So that's the reason why I insist on doing the first edit so I can make the changes, because they're just going to look for misspelled words. They don't care that the sentence don't make sense. But I send it to them just so they can kind of proofread behind me. Once they send it back to me, I send it back to the client. The client goes back, accepts and rejects or what have you. When they send it back to me, I could publish it from there. I don't. I actually have to read it again. I am anal about that kind of stuff. I have to read it again to see what the person missed. And in 100% of the cases, I'm going to find something. In 100% of the cases. Now, when I'm reading it again, especially if it's a very lengthy book, I'm going to tell you what my flesh is saying. My flesh is saying, Tiff, man, you have edited this book. That person has edited this book. You ain't even got to take yourself through this again. You got 345 things to do, sis. Just give yourself a brain break. That's what my flesh is saying. I'm being transparent. My flesh is saying, don't do it. You don't have to do this. But even though I'm feeling the anxiety and the frustration, and I don't feel like that, sometimes I can even get a headache. Even though I'm sitting there and I'm reading and what have you, every time I found a mistake, I'm always reminded, see, this is why I do what I do. This is what I do, He didn't put a period right here. This word here is still misspelled. This word here, he didn't understand this, so that doesn't make sense. When I see that, I'm like, okay, once I'm done, I feel good about it. So what I'm saying is this: I've learned to dominate my flesh instead of allowing my flesh to dominate me. Even though I feel it, the feeling is a fact. You're gonna get the feeling, but I don't give in to the feeling. I do contrary to what the feeling is telling me to do. The feeling says, hey, it's good enough, man, you straight, just publish this. But because I'm an author and I know that when a person gets their book, they don't, it's embarrassing to open up your book and see a misspelled word or see something off. It's embarrassing. It's not a great feeling. And so because I know that, I want them to have the same level of joy I have when I'm opening my books and I see, things are really good or what have you. I want them to have that same level of joy. I want them to have that confidence when they're putting their book out there. So I have and I don't even want to say a stronghold, but my thing is excellence. I'm passionate. Some people can say a perfectionist. I'm passionate about making sure things are done in excellence. And so the way that you get past a quitting spirit is that you got to ask yourself first and foremost, what do I want? Every person on here, ask yourself this: what do I want? Like, as far as life, not what I've settled for. Because, some of you can ask yourself that and then you're going to start thinking what you settled for. I'd be just happy with a nice little small house in a middle class neighborhood, 3-bedroom, what have you. But that's not necessarily what you want. That's what you're settling for. What do you want? Like, if God was to say, if he was to give you the same opportunity that he gave Solomon, and he said, hey, ask anything of me and I give it to you, what do you want? What do you want? So if you sat back and said, you know what, I would love to have a really nice house, 4,500 square foot, 2-story, 6-7 bedroom home. I like to have my own personal gym. I like to have my own personal studio. I can do videos. I would like to have my own personal theater. I like to have this and I like to have that. Then you have to ask yourself, does my mind and my behaviors allow me to have what I want? It's unrealistic to think that you're going to have that. A lot of people just go ahead and settle for a house in the, the top of the bottom or what have you. They just go ahead and settle because they're not willing to go through the hard task of changing their mind. They're not willing to go through that. But if you decide, man, I really want to have now let me tell you personally, I want my yard to look like a golf course. I don't know why. I just want spacious yard that looks like a golf course. Okay. But I just want a spacious yard that looks like a golf course. Me deciding that I want that means I have to be disciplined. That means I have to pull down my flesh and everything that's keeping me back from that. So I have to work, put in the work or what have you. I also want to see lives change. I want to see people go out here and they accomplish great things when it comes to relationships. I want to see people happy. I want to see, right? I want to see people. And so if I decide I want that, I have to be realistic with myself. If I can't handle a 9 to 5 because I'm emotional, I could not handle success. So the thing is, I have to allow God to shape my emotions through the pressure of first the 9 to 5. I had the 9 to 5s that I wanted to quit. Yeah, I'll be posting up the information for the wife, but I haven't posted it up yet. But I'm going to do it on the next video. But for the 9 to 5, I've had 9 to 5s that I've worked with for 7 years, and I wanted to quit every single day. But I got my work ethic from my mother. I thank God for my mom on that. I got my work ethic from my mother. I still go into the job even though I don't feel like being there. I go up in there just like, okay. And I still don't sacrifice just because I'm not in the best of moods. I don't come up in there and just throw something together. I'm going to do the best that I can while I'm up in there. What am I doing? I'm respecting this level so that I can get promoted to the next. I'm respecting this level so that I can go to the next. And because I've gone through so many promotions, I know that it works. I'm respecting all of these levels. And so when it comes to, like, for example, I'm going to be bringing some people in. I'm going to be training them. I'm going to be training them to start, I won't say start a business. They'll be working with me with Anointed Fire and all this other stuff. But that's what I'll be looking for, are people who are not quitters, because quitters are going to quit. Quitters, as soon as the pressure hit, it just takes a certain level of pressure. A certain level of pressure. As soon as they get that certain level of pressure, they go, Miss Tiffany, I'm sorry. I respect you. Woman of God, I honor you. I really love you. You know, you have helped me out a lot, but I got to pull out. Or whenever they start feeling warfare or they start going through warfare, whenever they start dealing with warfare, a lot of times they'll quit. Sorry, I was saying it. But a lot of times they'll quit because anytime you try to do something new, there's going to be a level of warfare. Just so you guys know. So you guys get your brains ready. A lot of times people go through warfare anyhow. It's crazy to me. If I stay in the will of the enemy, he's still going to attack me. It's no different than, okay, if I'm in an abusive relationship with a guy, he's going to beat me up anyhow. So if he's threatening to kick my butt because I broke it off with him, why would I go back and be in a relationship with him? Either way it goes, you telling me I'm going to have to fight? So I'd rather fight outside of the relationship, knowing that at some point you'll be out of my life. Either I'm gonna plant you because you come to my house and you acting crazy, and I'm gonna load you up, or you gonna just go ahead and you'll get over me. You'll find somebody else to control. You'll find somebody else. That's the way that I see things. It's like, what's the purpose of me doing that? So I tell people this, like, if I'm inside the will of Satan and I don't want to deal with the warfare that comes with change, I still got to deal with warfare, even financial warfare. You know, some people will sit back and constantly keep dealing with financial warfare where they don't have enough, where they settle for a 9-to-5 with a 9-to-5 mentality. They'll settle for that type of warfare where they're having to live in mediocre places and live a mediocre life and have mediocre friends and have mediocre everything, rather than suffer through the warfare of frustration or anxiety, of learning something new. I'd rather suffer through the frustration of learning something new than for me to sit up there and suffer through the frustration of, counting my money and being like, I think we're going to have to sell something to pay this. We're going to have to sell something in this house or what have you, and dealing with the anxiety and the frustration of not having the money. So I'm saying that to say, you said, I started to write my first book. Yeah, I teach writers classes. They're on automated now. You can go to anointedfire.com and take my writers classes under Remnant Writers. Under Academy, I have all of my schools there. They're mostly automated. But when you write a book, there's usually warfare that comes with writing that book. And that warfare is enough to push the majority of people out of writing. That warfare, when I wrote Microscribology, you talk about warfare. I've been writing the books, or I finished up my books. I got to just put the finish touch on my book of Boundaries. The warfare that came with writing these books, y'all don't know what an author has to go through to get a book out to you. There's a level of warfare that they have to get past, and sometimes that warfare can be all of a sudden the emergence of an ex. Not all warfare is going to come off as unpleasant. Sometimes it can be a sudden bill that pops up, that threatens the money that you were going to pay for your book. There's a level of warfare, but I tell people this all the time. You got to be more gangster than the devil. Like, if the devil is throwing darts at you, you can't just sit up there and be like, okay. I'll stop. I'll come back to writing it another time. I'll stop. The devil is a crackhead liar. I ain't stopping nothing. I will have darts in my head, in my heart. I'll have darts in my back. I'll be leaned over, bleeding, and still typing. Because the thing about it is, I come to understand from watching my family, he gonna attack me anyhow. If I'm serving him, he gonna attack me anyhow. He won't let me listen. He'll take away my peace. He won't let me have a successful relationship. He'll sit up there and attack my finances. So why am I gonna stay there and serve him? Why am I gonna be like, okay? Okay. He gonna attack me anyhow, so I might as well. See, this is something that came from me growing up, dealing with warfare. My childhood was warfare. The enemy, when he was trying to break me, he messed around and he taught me. He taught me some stuff. So I learned. I've typed in tears. I've typed while leaning over. I've started businesses in frustration. I serve Sometimes I can be serving and I just don't feel like dealing with people. Sometimes, right? I taught this in my remnant writers class about the warfare being the emergence of an ex. A couple of people pulled me to the side. And they're like, "Man, what the heck did you?" After halfway through the class, they're like, "Hey, oh, I got a call from an ex. Right after you said that, I got a call from an ex, like two days ago." And I'm like, "Yeah, whenever you start to do what God told you to do, y'all, I love my stickers, the people that stick around. I'm getting ready to close. I promise you, I'm going to close in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I promise you on that. But one thing people don't realize is that when there's a door still open in your life, the enemy will utilize that door. You won't even know it's open until you start building a business, until you start writing a book. Because that's when the enemy is going to utilize, he's going to do everything to keep you from doing it. First and foremost, when it comes to books, think about this. This is what the Bible said. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So when you testify, you're overcoming the enemy. So the enemy is like a boyfriend and you're in an abusive relationship. And in that moment that he sees you telling people stuff that he did to you, so he's got to stop you. You're not going to put that out there in the book. You ain't going to tell nobody how to get free from me. You ain't going to get free from me. So he will initiate and engage you in warfare. The warfare can be a parent that calls you up all of a sudden. What you doing? Yeah, your stupid sister did this. You know what? Y'all girls are getting on my nerve. No, you mad at her? Don't come after me with that. That's warfare. That's warfare. If I'm dealing with that warfare, I'm too afraid. I'm too frustrated to write at that moment. I can't write because I'm mad. How dare her come for me like that? How dare her do that? I ain't did nothing on call my phone with that. See, I can become angry because of that. That's warfare. In this, one thing I've learned to do is when somebody does that, I redirect that right back to them. I don't take it because I know that that's something that's trying to jump off of them onto me. And so my mother never did this, but if somebody called me up, yeah, your sisters, y'all girls, bye. I'm hanging up the phone. Y'all have no idea. That hang up button was I'm going to hang up the phone. And when I'm getting off the phone, I'll say, hey, hold up. Don't start that. Now, like I said, if they call back, they're going to voicemail. If they send a text, I promise you, I am not a reader of text. If I know you mad at me, I will not read your text. You know what I do? I'm going to show you something I did. I'm just going to find an old text of somebody that I don't necessarily know or something. Okay, a business call. Nah, it's showing the numbers. Nah, I can't show you. So I'll just say this. When it comes to text, it shows people phone numbers. But when it comes to text messages, what I do is if you send me a text and I know you mad at me, and I hung up in your face and I know, and I'm looking at, especially if it's a long text, you know what I do? I don't even read the text. I open it up and I hit them little dots on the side, and I hit delete. I don't even read your text. If you leave me a voicemail, I'm gonna delete it. I ain't gonna listen to it. You're not getting in my emotions. I'm guarding my heart, my mind, will, and emotion. You ain't getting in. You ain't gonna take me off. You gonna keep your anger at home with you. Your issues, your emotions, all that gonna stay at your house. It ain't coming over here. I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna call you back and argue with you. I'm not gonna do it because it's a spirit in you that's trying to trigger me. I ain't got time for that. So for me, I think a lot of times people make the mistake of trying to stay on the phone and try to defend themselves. I'm not doing that. You ain't triggering me. Hello? Girl, you know what your stupid sister did? Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. Yeah, your stupid sister. Y'all girls, y'all ain't about to kill me with this. Y'all da. Listen, I ain't did da. I'm hanging up the phone. I ain't getting triggered. You know what? I'm going to hang up because that's warfare and I'm going to go back to writing. I see that text message coming in. Delete the text. So I'm not tempted to read it. Send me an email. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete it. I will get rid of all of that stuff. And you know what? For the next week or two, I'll let you cool. You can call me all day long. You're going to cool the heck off. And by the time you call me, we're going to have a nice little come to Jesus moment. Don't you ever in your life, I don't care who you are, don't you ever in your life do that to me. Respect me. Let's love each other enough. But don't call me up and just start beating me up about what somebody else did. Don't just come, because y'all just stupid. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Call me up and say, hey, I'm a little bit on the frustrated side. More than that, go work out your feelings before you call me. Go work out your feelings before you call me. I saw a question that came up here. By the way, love your book, Michael Scribe. Thank you, sis. Thank you. God bless you. How do I make sure that all doors are closed and stay closed? Pay attention to what, because sometimes you're not going to know what doors are open until you start writing, until you start doing things. And so whenever that door, whenever you see that door spring open and all of a sudden emerges, you sit back and you just reject them. You can change your phone number. You say no to them. You reject that X, and then you begin to pray. You say, I close that door. I sever the soul tie between me and such in Jesus' name. I set them free in the name of Christ Jesus. Whenever, let's say it's a parent that all of a sudden, every time I'm writing or doing something, they acting crazy, I got to change my connection with that parent. So I can still have a relationship, but it may not necessarily be an intimate relationship with that parent. I can love them, but when I say from a distance, it doesn't necessarily mean a far distance. It means that I can still visit them, but at the same time, I can't have a very, very close, like I can't get personal with them. And then I have to use wisdom whenever I'm around them. So whenever I see, for example, my mother, if she was here, if she started to act up, she started getting upset, I can see the triggers. I can see the alarms going off. Then I'm going to get out of that house. Or if I'm on the phone with her and I start seeing the signs, the symptoms of that she's about to go into a dark place, I say, well, and she says, yeah, I'm just tired. This whole religion thing. I'll call you back. Because I already know where this is about to go. It's going to start into an argument. So I used to do that with my mom. My mom would start that, she'll start talking and I'll be like, I said, Mom, I'll call you back. She's like, what? I said, I'll call you back. I'm getting off the phone because I'm not about to engage. I don't allow people to mess with my soul, my mind, my will, and my emotions. I don't allow people to trigger those. Those are 3 areas that I guard with ferocity. So if somebody is always trying to trigger me, I will take that person out of my life. Is it bad to have a jointed and personal account while married? A joint account is always a great idea. A personal account it's not a bad idea. It always depends on you and your spouse. Me and my spouse, chances are we're going to have a joint account. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. But more than likely we'll have a joint account, but a personal account, it's going to depend on the person. So if he happens to be the type person where he says, hey, I don't believe in personal accounts, I don't believe in all that, then we'll likely have a joint account. But, I shouldn't be married to somebody I don't trust, right? Like when it comes to a lot of stuff, people, we're doing things to kind of protect ourselves, but I shouldn't marry somebody I feel like I got to protect myself from. So I should have enough faith in him. If I'm marrying him, that if I'm going to share my body with him, I can share my bank account number with him. So I want to make sure, that yes, we do have a joint account. Now, if he happens to be the type of person where he says, babe, I'm that type of person that likes to have a personal account. So like your birthday or gifts and stuff like that, I don't like you knowing that stuff is coming out. Or, I prefer you to have a personal account. I think that would kind of rub me weird, at first. But having been married to a guy like that, it can work for some people. My ex-husband, he was the type of person. He was like, no, go start your own account. I want you in my account. But he was hiding money too. I found out he was making a lot of money. He was hiding. So that does serve as a red flag. Nevertheless, when it comes to a personal account, I think, and this is just me, this may not be for everybody, but when it comes to a personal account, I think that if you're going to have a personal account, I need to be aware of it, and I should have the account number. It shouldn't be a secret of yours. It shouldn't be, I don't know how much money you got over there or what have you, because then I don't know what you're doing with the money. You could be making more money than what you're telling me. You can be doing, and that can bring about a level of temptation. It can bring about a level of insecurity. So personal accounts, I'm not against them. I just secret accounts is what I'm against. Secret accounts are what I'm against. And so if you have a secret account and or you feel like I shouldn't know about your account, then we have an issue. Then we have it. What do you think about Christians on dating? I've spoken on that on a lot of my videos. So no. When it comes to women, the Bible says that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. A lot of times when I see people on dating apps, most of the time they made relationships an idol. And so they don't know how to date, and they get frustrated in being single. So they go and throw themselves on a Christian dating app, hoping that that's going to help. But man, on a Christian dating app, can I give y'all some statistics that's going to scare you? Probably 80-90% of people on there are going to be narcissistic. The devil. Do you think the devil is going to go to a secular app? Let's just say it's a dating app for guys who want to marry ex-strippers. Do you think that the devil is going to be over there? He'll be over there too, but he's going to really go over to that Christian app. He's going to really be over there. And he's going to say, hallelujah, glory to his name, amen, we praise the living God, or what have you. He's going to really go over there to that Christian app. And so the woman finds herself in a relationship with somebody that is a narcissist. So I am completely against dating apps. I think that, what you have to do is allow God to heal you, to grow you up. And then when God puts you in place, he hides you. He allows the man to find you. But when you're not hidden, you feel the need to reveal yourself. And then when you start revealing yourself, then you're going to come in contact or expose yourself to somebody that God didn't send into your life. I want to use it for things I would like to do for myself. I don't want to ask. Oh, yeah. And two, when you have a joint account, you can still use money out of it. See, like I come into the marriage, like I'll come in with my own. He probably come in with his own. If we have a joint account, it doesn't limit what I can do. I don't have to sit up there and go to him and say, hey, permission to spend? Permission to spend, Negro, please. I ain't got to get permission to spend. But I do have to be accountable. So let's just say I go out there, and for me, I'm a big techie person. I'm really, let me say this. My birthday is coming up in 20 days. So I'm going to open up a fund for those of you who want to sew, because I'm a techie person. I got a camera I want to get. But I'm a techie person. So that's one of the things. I'm not that female. I have makeup. I like makeup and everything. But I'll buy the basics of makeup and what have you. But I love cameras. My camera. Is behind me. I love cameras. I love stuff like that. I love cameras. I love high-tech camera equipment. This is something I just got. I got this probably about 2 months ago. No, I got about 2 months ago. I got this. This is a tripod for my phone. I got another tripod that I just ordered that is still on my Nook table. You can see it on that table back there. But I like cameras. I like techie stuff because I like to be able to create content. I like to create videos or what have you. The type of camera I want, I was actually choosing at first the Sony A64. But I saw another video that kind of made me think. So it's between let me see if I can pull it up. Sony A64, 6400. Sony A6400. And that one is $12.99. But it's another one. I saw a video. I'm gonna see if it'll let me pull it up. I saw a video on this guy's page where he was talking about a new camera. Okay, I had to think of this man's name. I'm gonna see if I can find a video because he creates a lot of content. Okay, the best vlog camera in 2020. Business boss. Sony ZV-1. Sony ZV-1. So it's between the Sony A6400 and the Sony ZV-1, which is about $900. So that's what I'm looking to invest in. And so that I'm looking to invest in that camera so that, and listen, let me go ahead and say this. Thank you guys for those of you who are considering, sewing or what have you. But let me say this, I'm going to get it anyhow. So I don't want y'all to think because a lot of times, you have some people that come on and they be like, and I'm always looking at people like that. Like, if you don't want to sew, don't sew. Why you get mad at other folks that want to? It's like you want everybody to have your mentality. You want everybody to say, no, we stand together in this. So, yeah, the Sony ZV-1, that's going to be my birthday gift to myself. The Sony ZV-1 or the, it's going to be the Sony ZV-1 or the Sony A6400. And so I want to get that to create vlogging. I want to do vlogging, not so much as heavy vlogging, but I want to do skits. So I have a Canon T5i. Don't y'all laugh at me. The Canon T5i is relatively old, but it's actually relatively, I purchased that probably about 5 months ago, between 3 to 5 months ago, because I had the Canon T1i and everybody was laughing at me. Everybody that knew photography and all that, they were really cracking up on me. So I am going to be investing in this. I'm still going to keep my T5i. One of my friends wants to buy my T1i. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know. I know I got to let it go, but I'm still I'm a real techie person. So for me, I'm always buying techie stuff. I like cameras. Because I like creating content and stuff like that. I like techie stuff. I'm just weird. Let me see. Okay. I don't even remember what the question was, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't went somewhere else. But I like techie stuff. So that, yeah, I want to invest in one of those cameras. And the crazy thing is, at some point, I already know I'm going to have a room probably full of well, I only have 2 cameras now. Besides this one, this is a Logitech. This is not, I don't consider that to be camera. But I got the T5i and the T1i. The T1i is retired. I'm retiring that. Like I said, I got a friend of mine that's been asking me nonstop, can she purchase it from me? And I always tell her I got to think about it. But I got the T5i. And the only reason I'm having trouble selling that one is because I want to keep a backup. I want to have a backup camera because I've done, I've taken pictures and, I did a wedding. As a matter of fact, it was a wedding she had told her friend about. It was a pop-up wedding all of a sudden. She said her friend needed a photographer and they hired me and I came out and did the photography. And so every photographer has to have a backup camera, especially when it comes to things like weddings, because that's the person's personal day and you don't get a do-over on that. So if your camera crashes or anything happens, you need a backup camera. So that's the reason I haven't necessarily given that camera up yet, is because I'm like, even when I do get this particular camera, that's for photography. So yeah, that's neither here nor there. That's that. I'm a techie person, so I have certain things that I'm looking at. I'm always looking at techie stuff. I'm always looking at stuff like create content and stuff like that. When it comes to videos, I want to do my own skits, and y'all, God willing, I don't know. All right. God willing, I have some of my books I want to turn into movies. Now, I'm not going to personally do that. I'm going to hire somebody to do that because I got to get and I'm looking to start doing that in 2021. Can't believe I shared that on a public platform. But that's it. Let me answer these questions real quick, then I'm going to get off here. How can I keep my own triggers at bay? Educating myself against the narc and memories of the relationship makes me so upset and I feel like I want to quit. Could I be over-educating myself? No, it just sounds like you haven't healed. See, information on top of a bruise feels like alcohol on top of a bruise. So if you're educating yourself about the narc, but you haven't necessarily healed yet, all you're doing is putting alcohol on it. You're just burning yourself. And so that's going to cause a reaction. So rather than studying the narc, you want to study healing. You want to study, like find out why you got in a relationship with that person. You don't want to focus on the person. You want to focus on yourself. You want to focus on God. You want to focus on yourself. Find out why you got in a relationship with that person. What was it about you that attracted? Are you prophetic? What is it that attracted that person to you? And what was the issue? Was it that you made the person into a god? Do you have a problem with idolatry? Is idolatry in your bloodline? When you start looking at those type of issues, it helps you to start getting the healing because you take accountability. You will never get healing without accountability. So you have to start taking accountability for what you did wrong. And then when you take accountability for what you did wrong, it's a lot easier for the healing to start to, um, initiate itself or what have you. And then you can read up about the narc, and then it becomes revelation. Because now when I'm reading about narc, I'm reading with a healed heart, and I'm like, whoa, that show what he did to me. Oh my gosh, oh girl, that's something. But if I'm taking that in while I'm still hurting, I'm like, these Negroes ain't nothing. See, because you see, it's a different response. And it's only because I didn't get the healing. I didn't go through the process. And when it comes to white football, I want to mention this. That's one of the things. I'm going to find some of you guys who are not completely in the process. Matter of fact, well, no, I'm not going to do that. But who have not gone completely through the process of healing. That's one of the things. I'm going to lead you through the process of healing. Because I think a lot of what God is charging me to do is something that God said to me. And that is, y'all on here late, so I get to give y'all this revelation just because you stuck around. God said to me, I'm going to show you my infamous pyramid. All right, this is what God showed me one day. This is the bottom. Guys know I talk about this all the time. This is the bottom. This is the bottom thinker or what have you. The enemy, there are guys at the bottom, a lot of them. As a matter of fact, it's like roaches down there. It's just like a pack of roaches down there. Guys and females down here. One of the reasons that a lot of men are stuck down here is because the women are lowering themselves in order to get in a relationship rather than requiring the men to go higher. Did y'all catch that? The women are lowering themselves in order to get into a relationship rather than requiring the man to go higher. Because when you up here, you got to wait. When you up here, you got to be like, dang, God, when he coming? Oh, you got to go through the process. And then you'll see guys climbing, and you'll be like, come on, you almost got it. Another one bites the dust. There are a lot of people. So one of my assignments is to bring women out of this realm. And I'm being passionate when I say this, to bring women out of here and bring them up here. To bring them up here. Now, as you go up, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the frustration. There's a temptation to quit. You're going to feel it all. So my assignment is to take women and bring them up here. The more women, this is why the Bible said older women come out and teach the younger women. The more women I can get up here, the more men that are going to have to follow them to the top. And see, they may start off following you, but at some point, when I say follow you, I'm not talking about a relationship. I'm talking about if we starve this area of women, if we get women healed and delivered and we starve this area of women where there's no women down here, people are going to start to come up. Because the guys are going to start to realize all the guys at the top, like the leaders, the men who love God, those are the ones getting the girls. When they start realizing that, then it's going to motivate them. But as long as there are women down here twerking, there's women down here that when the enemy is breaking you, when the enemy is hurting you, when the enemy is defeating you or doing all the crazy crap that he's taking you through, he's just trying to create you as supply for the men down here. He's creating a ready supply for the men down here. What you have to do is heal and get delivered, and you got to elevate. And so you have to come out of that realm of thinking so that God can do something amazing in and through you. So as far as keeping your triggers at bay, you got to die to yourself. As far as, and I don't know necessarily what you mean by trigger, educating myself against the narcan memories of the relationship. Yeah, so you want to heal. You want to make sure that you heal. You want to make sure that you get free. You want to make sure that you're prayerful, you're intentional. Get yourself lit. Make sure you're in a church. You're accountable to your pastor. Get yourself a mentor. Be accountable with your feelings. And I'm going to say this because I've seen so many women quit. I've had not just quit. Sometimes women, they don't necessarily quit through saying I ain't coming back or what. Sometimes people quit just constantly having a bad attitude till you just give up and you're like, you know what? I ain't got time for that. You know, you have to get to the point where you say, I want more for myself and I'm willing to fight for it. Because it's crazy to me that people are willing to fight for a man, but they're not willing to fight for themselves. People will fight like crazy. I know he ain't right, but you know what? God loves him. He's like he loved me too. They will fight another female. They'll fight everybody over that man, but they're not willing to fight for themselves. So you got to be willing to put that same intensity or greater into fighting for your own mind as you would do for a guy. Fighting for your own peace. You got to put in a fight because the enemy is going to constantly keep trying to push you back to what he said you ought to be. But you have to put in a fight and say, nope. If I have narcissistic traits, what's the next step to healing? A lot of times narcissistic traits are a sign of immaturity. They're a sign of immaturity. They're a sign of brokenness and immaturity too. So I would say go for counseling or coaching so that you can, it can be traced. Like, was it that your father wasn't around? Were you raped? Were you molested? So you have to start dealing with those things that hurt you so that you can stop feeling the need to guard yourself and create other personalities in those areas or what have you. And you just need revelation and truth. Also, make sure you're going to church and you're going consistently. Even though you don't feel like it, go to church consistently so that you can grow the fruit of the Spirit in your life. And as you mature, those things will begin to fall away from you. Get an accountability, like get yourself a mentor. Definitely, I would say come into the wifeable mentorship, but understand that whenever you come into the wifeable mentorship, you know, if I see a trait in you, I will call it out. And when I say call it out, I'm not talking about embarrassing you on a public platform. I'm talking about, you know, I will say something to you about it. Be like, hey, sis, you need to stop that. You know, you need to give that up. That's not, you know, but you got to be willing to receive that correction and understand that it's done out of love. The mentor always has a vision for you. Like one of the things that God does with me, I see potential in people and I get frustrated when I see them. I was about to say pissing on their potential, but I get frustrated when I see people throwing their potential away. I get frustrated when I see people throwing their potential away just to stay in their feelings, just to stay, you know, locked in with the enemy or what have you. But it's all in the matter. Make sure you're studying your Bible every day, you're praying every day, and be very honest with God. And then those things will begin. You'll start developing other fruit, and they'll choke out those fruit in your life. When I was in the world, the devil never bothered me. He just peeked his head every now and again. When I gave up my life to Christ, that sucker would keep his foot on my neck. Yeah, he bothered me in the world, which ran me into the church. He bothered me in the world. I got to the point where I was trying to figure out, like, what the heck? You know, I had to realize there was something going on where I just kept dealing with, like, people. I just kept dealing with guys that felt like they needed to train me and you know, even got to the point where it got dangerous for me. I was always having something really bad happening to me. And I started saying, you know, and I think it was the reaction of my friends that helped me to kind of realize that, hey, this isn't normal. You know, like, why is it that you're dealing with this type of stuff? We don't deal with that type of stuff with guys. Like, we break it off with them or something. And why are you dealing with that? And so that's what kind of made me start looking a little bit deeper into, like, what is this? What's this on my life or what have you? What's this on my life? I've been separated from my ex for over a year or so, but I still find myself thinking about what he's doing every day or every other day. I will never take this person back. How do I help myself not to think this? You got to kill the vision. When you get in a relationship with somebody, you create a vision. So it's kind of like if I started a business making lip gloss. I got this great idea. I'm gonna create this business, and I'm gonna create lip gloss in this business. And I create a vision board for it. And I have all the plans, all these great things about it. Then one day I realize I'm not called a lip gloss. That's not for me. As long as I keep that vision board, I'm always going to be tempted to go back to the whole thing because I've invested time and effort into that. And the vision looks really good. So I have to kill the vision board. typically what women do is women will have a vision, a fantasy, a belief about a person. They'll imagine marrying the person. A lot of times is the confessions, the declarations you've made, so their soul tie is still strong because you haven't renounced them. But women will sit back and have all these plans. They'll paint a picture in their mind about what their life is going to be like with that person. And rather than destroying the picture, they just try to cut the head off of the person. It's just like they want to cut the person out the picture, but they want to keep the picture. Well, the picture is associated with the person. So you can't really cut the head off of the person. You have to literally take the picture off of the wall and throw it away. It's no different than whenever I was going through, my ex and I broke up and we were going through a divorce. I remember waking around. I had a moment where I was walking around my house one day, and I noticed that because we had took some professional pictures and they were hanging up throughout the house, and I looked around and I'm seeing pictures of him, and I knew they weren't helping me. So I took all of those pictures. I went through the house just taking pictures down. I found our photo album. I took it. I took everything that had our pictures in it, and I put it into this case that used to be his, this little wooden box, and I put it on the side of the road. I put it on the side of the road for the trash man to get it, or what have you. My ex actually pulled up and picked that box up. He actually pulled up and saw it on the side of the road and picked it up and took those pictures and stuff like that with him. But I was cleaning my house of those pictures because I knew that they weren't going to help me. I knew that if I was going to heal, if I was going to move on, I needed to get rid of those pictures. So one of the things that you have to do is you got to get rid of the picture that's up here. The picture of, let's say, you were playing. I guess we got a thunderstorm coming. Let me see. See if he's trembling. Not trembling? Okay. Yeah, I think he hears thunder. When he does this look right here, is usually when he hears thunder. But, you okay? You all right? Hey, your friends? Hey, your friends? Hey, your friends? Look, hey, your friends. Say hi. Hey, your friends. You gonna say hi to your friends? You gonna say hi? Okay. All right. That's my puppy boy. Hi. Hey, you. Hey. Okay. But yeah, you have to deal with the picture. You got to deal with the picture. So if you fantasize about having a house in the country, going to Paris, France, making love and having 5 kids, you have to tear that whole thing down. So you have to take the house out of the picture because you can't move another man into that house. And because that's what we tend to do as women is we'll just take the man out of the picture and move somebody else into that plan. And so really what we're doing when we do that, we are bringing another man into another man's house, and so it creates a problem. So the best thing to do is to make sure that you're dealing with the picture on your mind. Block him on social media if you have to. Don't go back and check his profile. And stop lying to yourself like he's a good person. Stop lying to yourself. I mean, I don't know if he's good or not, but stop lying to yourself like, it could have worked between the two of you. And that's what makes you keep looking back. That's what makes you keep looking back. I think Christian dating apps are like sheep to wood. They are. Oh, God. Oh, Lord Jesus. Y'all. I don't know if I'm going to do all these questions. Let me see where I'm at. This thing jumped, guys. I don't know. Okay. Here it was. How can I keep my own triggers at bay? I read that. If I have narcissistic traits, I read that. I've been separated from my ex. Okay. There we go. Kind of want. I'd like to know more about soul ties with children involved. Not sure if you have a video up, but would love to get insight and understanding. You always break things down in a way that teaches me. Thank you. You have to formulate. Sometimes you have to see an example of what it is that God is going to give you. For example, yeah, I can hear the thunderstorm now. I hear it. Hair standing up on his back. My dog. Okay, but sometimes it's good to see an example. For me, I'm a pictures person, so I've seen examples of people who have co-parented with their exes, and the person healed, the female healed and the male healed or what have you. The female ended up getting remarried and the guy ended up getting remarried. Um, so what they did was they learn to respect each other to the point where I literally met people who actually do they actually do holidays together with their exes and their exes spouses because they healed. There are levels of healing because they got healing. Healing usually is a product of understanding. I understand why I didn't work with him. I understand I was just young. I understand why he did what he did. I understand why I did what I did. I understand we were just never meant to be or what have you. It comes from you wanting that understanding first, and not seeing the person as a predator and you seeing yourself as a victim. You have to understand that, hey, he wasn't called to you. And so that's one of the first things that you want to make sure that you do. And then too, you have to kill the picture. I just got to talking about the picture with another sister, but you have to kill the picture because I know a lot of times with women, we have this picture perfect family in our mind where we feel like, you know, you're supposed to be here. We're supposed to have kids. We're supposed to, I wanted my kids to be raised by their father. Well, that's not the realistic or the reality of what you have. And so you have to adjust your vision to what you have and not what you want. So if the father is not in the picture and he can't be in the picture because he's not the right one, you have to readjust your vision. You have to create a new vision. And so now this vision has to incorporate the potential man that's going to come, who's going to act as a father in their life, who's going to love them or what have you. And then you create the vision, for example, of the hope that you and the ex can get along, that you're cool with him, you're not mad at him or what have you. But you also have to create boundaries with him. A lot of times when you're dealing with exes, I've already started creating content for the Wifeable Mentorship, and I deal with this on here. But a lot of times with exes, they don't necessarily break it off with you. They just kind of see you as territory, that they kind of just reemerge to check up on you. So you have to make sure it's established that this is a breakup. And so a lot of times what that means is I have to offend him. I may have to offend my baby's father. If I had a baby's father, I would probably have to offend him at some point if I started seeing signs that he still saw me as one of his girls, to him I'm a concubine. Because remember we talked about concubines. What the king would do is the king have all these concubines, but some of the concubines only slept with the king one time. He, after he got him in his castle, he had him come to his room. But after that, he never thought about him again because he had 100 concubines or 500 concubines or 900 concubines. And so because he had so many concubines, he forgot about the majority of them. I would dare to say probably 850 of them probably never saw a penis again, in their lives. They just sat up in the concubines' quarters for the rest of their lives. And so when it comes down to stuff like that, you want to make sure that he's not reemerging, pretty much seeing you almost like a concubine that he just hasn't seen for a long time. So he just broke it off with you, but now, things happening between him and the other girl or what have you. So what you doing? Who in your life now? That type of stuff indicates that he still sees you as a piece of his property, and you have to say, hey, listen, that's none of your business. We're going to have to co-parent. I respect you as a person, but I need you to respect my relationship status or what have you. Whenever I do start dating somebody, if it gets serious and I start bringing them around the child, I will make sure that you're aware of it because I respect your opinion as well. But I'm not going to bring you into my relationship. I'm not going to bring you in. I'm not going to give you any type of thing. And so me doing that a lot of times with the narcissist, they're going to get upset because the narcissists don't break up with you when they break up with you. The narcissist doesn't break up with you when they break up with you. When they break up with you by walking away or ending the relationship, they're not breaking up with you. They're just taking their space. But they can't take their space and still call you their girlfriend. So they're just breaking up with you. But the narcissist, a lot of times you can go through healing and a year later they haven't gone through healing. A friend of mine, her ex is dealing with that right now. I warned her about that a long time ago, and she's seen it. She calls me. She's like, girl, I think it's finally starting to click in. Like it's starting to set in to him. And so now he's angry. He's in the beginning stages of a breakup, going through the 7 stages of anger. Even though they've been broken up, now for 2 years. I think 2 years they've been broken up. They've been broken up for 2 years, and he's living with somebody else, and he's moved on with his life. Yet and still in his mind, she's still a piece of his property. Yet and still in his mind. And so a lot of times I've had to warn her and say, hey, sis, be careful. Don't set off the wrong signals. Don't do this. Don't do that. Be careful. Like when she tells me things that she does, I'm like, yeah, it's not a good idea. Be careful. You don't want to set off the wrong signal. And so now it's gotten to the point where their last fight, he's gotten to the point where he realizes that, wait, we broke up. And she's surprised. It's funny to her. She's like, you were right. This guy, she said, I think he's finally starting to go through the stage. He's angry. I said, yeah, he's probably in the first stages of grief. Grieving a relationship because he never accepted that. And so that means that sometimes when transitioning, you have to allow somebody can come along and X can be there 2 or 3 years later and all of a sudden get angry and rage and mad at you. And they start talking about custody and stuff like that. They're usually indicative of them now starting to go through the process, because they never accepted. The last stage of grief is acceptance. They never accepted that y'all were broken up. They just acknowledged that you were broken up, but they never accepted it. So they just saw you as like a concubine. You just off from a distance while I got somebody else up close to me, but you're still a part of my supply. So whenever I feel the need to kind of talk to you, I'm just going to kind of show up and, spend a little time with you. So you know that you're loved, you're okay. You're appreciated. Before I go back over here. So whenever you see that type of behavior, you have a lot of times women will encourage that behavior because they love the fact that, oh, you still want me. Don't get flattered on that. It's offensive. He still sees you as a piece of his property. So in that, what I have to do is offend the person and say, hey, you can't just show up in my house. You can't. I'm sorry. No, we're not together. You don't have the right to show up in my house. Don't call me past this hour. This is too late for you to be calling me. Don't call the child past this hour. Don't do this. You have to constantly keep telling them, don't. You have to draw boundaries around yourself until the narcissist or the ex, I don't want to say narcissist, but when the ex finally gets it, so that they can go ahead and start going through their process. And typically when they start going through their process, they get upset, start talking about custody or what have you. And then while they're in that process, you have to make it a point not to become their enemy. While they see you as your enemy, you don't have to necessarily act as an enemy. So you can say, hey, look, I'm not trying to be your enemy. So if you feel like you need to take me to court, that's fine. We'll just go to court. But in the meantime, I do have to establish boundaries with you because, listen, I'm not bitter. I respect you. I respect the relationship you're in. I am happy for you. I have zero desire for us to reconcile. Because sometimes you have to hammer that truth home with guys. I have zero desire for us to reconcile. But at the same time, you have to understand, you can't just show up in my house. You can't just show up in my job. You can't do those things. Those things were the rights and the privileges that we had when we were together. I respect your space just like I need you to respect my space. And so if that takes me having to go to court for you to get that, that's what we're going to have to do. And so I have to allow this person to be angry with me, vengeful even, until eventually they start going through the process, because then they start going through the process of, I can't stand her, what have you. Okay, good. You're starting to heal. Please go over there and heal because we're not together. We're not together. And so whenever they start going through that process, like I said, I just make sure I'm not mean to them while they're in the middle of it, even though they're probably going to be mean to me. But I'm also collecting evidence in case we do have to go to court. Text messages, snapshot, all of those things, just in case we do have to go to court. Because most of the time when people take you to court, they're not taking you to court because they genuinely believe that you're a bad parent or that you're neglectful. A lot of times they're taking you to court because they're trying to get paid back for their feelings. They just feel wounded and they feel like you should pay for how they feel. And so they just want to embarrass you. They want to hurt you and stuff like that. So I would make sure that I draw boundaries around myself. I'll draw boundaries around my children. You can see your children. We're going to have a nice, good relationship. We're cool. My children can't tell me what's going on in your house. And I ask that you give me that same token of respect. But at the same time, if I find out that he's not necessarily honoring all that, I'm not going to beat him up because it's not going to change anything. I'll say something. I'll say, hey, the kids told me they told you what's going on in my house. I rebuked them about that. But if they say something about my house, shut it down. I don't allow them to do that about your house. But if he starts getting argumentative, I'm probably going to drop it and say it is what it is. And then I'll just have to deal with the kids on that. And I'll just tell them, say, look, I'm going to tell you like this. If you keep sharing what's I'm telling you or what you see going on in this house, I'm probably going to limit you going over there. Or, I'm going to take this away from you. I'm going to take that away from you or what have you. But just change the vision in your mind. Change the vision in your mind. Thank you, Sister April. God bless you. Thank you. Amen. Amen. My birthday is August 13th. My birthday is August 13th. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. So yeah. My sister met someone on a dating app 3 months ago and he already proposed. He claims that he's Christian and my sister said God confirmed. I have my doubts, but she's very sure he's the one. Her belief system, if he isn't the one, is hijacked. And so sometimes I think the most unfortunate thing, I think the most frustrating thing I've learned as a leader is that sometimes you have to allow the enemy to have fun with people. Like you have to stand on the sidelines and just pray and ask God to have mercy on them. But you have to allow the enemy to have fun with people or what have you. So you have to let them go ahead and get married. You got to stay out of them. You got to show support. You got to love them. You got to, hey, or what have you. But then watch them go through the fire. And the fire is what's going to wake her up. If that's the case, if this is not the right one, the fire, well, I doubt if it's the right one. She got him on a dating app. But you have to let her go through and you just pray and ask the Lord to preserve her life, to protect her life. I be imitating Naomi, always saying I'm gonna post it to my IG. Just wait. Yeah, please do snare. Oh, okay. I just read the first comment. Actually, that's the one I want to turn into the movie. Is Snare. There are two. I'm sharing stuff. I don't know if there are two of them I'm looking to turn into a movie. That's my book Snare. And I was talking to a sister in Christ the other day, and we were talking about that. I said I want to turn my book Snare into a movie, and I said the other one, and it's going to be straight professional, Hollywood professional. I'm not doing nothing low budget, guys. But the other one, I don't know. For those of you who don't have Wiser Still 3, you probably haven't seen this one. It is called. I had the book the other day, and I don't feel like going over there to it. But I had the book the other day. It starts with a C. Does something. Give me a second. I don't know. But the gist of it is this particular story. It's inside of my book, Wiser Still 3. There are 2 books to Wiser Still 3. I haven't done the third one yet. But in this particular story, it starts off with this little girl. And I'm not going to give you guys the story, but this woman, she wakes up and she's in a little girl's body. And so she's trying to figure out, like, how did I get in this body? Like, why am I my young version of myself? But she goes on a series of adventures that she remembers. Every time she gets thrown into an event, she remembers, hey, I remember this or what have you. And these are points of trauma in her life or what have you. It's a really very interesting story, very intriguing story or what have you. So I was talking to a sister in Christ the other night, and I told her, I said, the only reason I was not considering doing that one, I said, I want to do that one as well, but it's because the amount of money it would cost to shoot that movie. I said, because, for example, she's in like the 80s McDonald's, and those McDonald's are no longer present. And I'm like, well, she goes to one of them, her and her dad. And so I'm not going to have an old McDonald's built. And while I was talking to her, I had a revelation. I said, well, I don't have to have her going to McDonald's. All I need is a McDonald's bag. Just she's going to be in the truck anyhow with the Mac. So they got to go through the drive-through or what have you. But it's set in the old time. So I have to have a whole lot of old time props in a movie are what takes the price of a movie up. It's not all of that stuff, because like with actors, I can likely get some great, amazing actors, and the majority of them will be volunteers. I wouldn't even have to pay a lot of folks. I can get some actors that are excellent, but some of them can be volunteers or what have you. Every once in a while, you'll come across an actor that you just absolutely need. And you may have to be required to pay that person because they're just like, yeah. But a lot of times people will volunteer for that type of stuff. When it comes to movies, they'll volunteer to be an extra, they'll volunteer because the props will eat you up. My music video, In His Presence, you guys know, was a short movie. That thing was expensive. I ain't gonna tell you. Shooting that thing was really expensive. And so it was all the props and stuff, the wedding gowns, all of those things, the little small stuff, the wedding rings. It's the little small stuff that adds up. And so Snare is one of them. That's the first one I told her. I said I want to shoot is Snare. I want to shoot the movie Snare. But if you guys never read my book Snare, you have no idea what you're missing. That is an excellent, amazing book. I have fun writing it, and everybody that reads is like, this needs to be a movie. This needs to be a movie. It's a fictional story about a woman named Naomi, and yeah, post it to Instagram. I can't wait to see it. Tag me. I can't wait to see it. But when it comes to Snare, it's a Naomi. You know, it starts off her husband's cheating on her or what have you, but it takes you through a whole lot. Man, you're gonna find out a lot about Naomi. It's a lot of twists and turns in there. It's a really, and I already have this idea of how I want it to look. So I want to shoot that movie, but to shoot a movie is expensive. It's expensive. So that's why I said I was going to wait till next year to shoot the movie, because I want to make sure that I do it the right way. I've already talked to a videographer, and I have to get some stuff together so I can get a quote for the movie. So yeah, that's it. I can't wait, guys. Tiffany, do you also specialize in family and narcissistic relationships, like with siblings, parents, grown? Yes, just boundaries. My book of boundaries that's coming out, you will love it. So when it comes to family members, you got to be willing. Y'all, I want to read a scripture to you. Let's see. Matthew 10:37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Of course, Christ has to come first. He has to be number one in your life. Who is my mother and my brothers? Another scripture I'm thinking about. For those who do the will of God. When it comes to family, you have to absolutely draw boundaries, and you got to draw solid boundaries. You got to enforce those boundaries. But then the hard part about that is that does drive some people away, and sometimes it can drive, depending on how broken the family is, it can drive the majority of the people away. It can cause them to create a lot of distance between you, and so you have to be willing to let them do that. You have to be willing to watch them walk out of your life, and you have to deal with the pain. Go ahead and go through the healing, but keep your boundaries. A lot of times people will lower their boundaries to keep their family, and so what they end up doing is living a mediocre life where they're having to deal with a bunch of warfare. And that's that. So I've told people, I said for myself, I had to draw boundaries around. So I had to say, hey, you can't come to my house and have sex. You're not drinking in my house. You're not bringing your girlfriend and your boyfriends in my house. You're not cussing in my ear. You're not doing this. If I come to your house and you kicking up mess, I'm going to leave. I had to draw boundaries around my family, and it cost me to lose a lot of them. You know, that's the price that's associated with it. But it also gave me peace. And whenever I had peace, my gifts started to arise, and I found myself creating a lot of stuff because I had peace on every side. I had peace on every side. And so, yeah, when it comes to that, I'll say when my book of boundaries come out, get that. I may have to close this out without answering, because, guys, I really need to go. And I know that just going down here, it looks like we got a lot of questions. Let me see if I can. I'm going to try to get through these. Don't put any more questions up here, guys. I'm going to try to get through these. Matter of fact, let me see who's the last person, because somebody ain't going to listen. Okay, Coach Ashley's the last one that said something. Like not just dating and marriage narc relations. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. Let me see. Okay, thank you, Sister Ashley. No, April, Sister April. And Sister Woodlawn, thank you. Thank you guys for the seed. Thank you. Thank y'all for the seed. I've enjoyed the teaching. Thank you, thank you. God used you to bring me out of that bottom pit. Amen. I learned that concept from your podcast ago. Thank you. Y'all blessing me. Y'all blessing me. Yes, as far as the wife of a mentorship, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to partner you guys up to have accountability partners too. Dang, why do I have a habit of attracting controlling, sick, manipulative, or the creepiest guy in the room? Why some stalkers come to me has gotten better. I still wonder why me. 9 times out of 10, it's in your blood. Not that was the issue with me. You probably have narcissists in your family, and so that spirit has taken claim to you. So you'll have to go through some levels of deliverance and get some understanding, some wisdom. You have to come out against that spirit and what have you. I've been married 12 years and don't know how much money my husband earns. He gets a bonus every year, but doesn't seem to want to disclose any information. That's not good. That's not good. I declare every movie you produce will be filled with revelation. Amen. Inspiration will edify all who watch. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait, y'all. Okay, we're out of questions. Yay! Okay, so I'll say this. I can't wait to create those movies. I'm looking forward to it. I already have a few actors and actresses in mind. This dog is like, yo, before it starts storming, take me out of here. But I already have some people in mind. I told with my other movie, it's in the book, but one of my movies, I was telling my sister in Christ, I was like, I'm gonna have to fly to New Orleans to shoot it because there's a scene that's in New Orleans. I know you can set up a set where it can look like New Orleans, and if I can do it here, I probably will. If not, I told her, I said we'll have to fly out to New Orleans and shoot the scene because there's a scene in this. I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. There's a scene in this story, and it starts with a C. It's bothering me because it starts with a C, and let's see if I can open this. Why am I doing it like this, Lord? What is wrong with your daughters? Let's see here. Okay, why is there still 3? I don't know. There's 2 parts to why is there still 3. So forgive is thou. I wonder if it's in volume 1. Let me see. Give me a second, guys. I want to see the name of this story because it's irking me, and I had to figure it out the other day. Okay, I know it when I see it. Let me go to the table of contents. All right. Religious parakeets. Evaluate the seed, not the need. Captivated. I don't think it's captivated. Warfare system, welfare system, applesauce. Reject. So it's got to be the second one. Rejected legacy, a marked woman. So it has to be the second one. So let me see. Volume 2. Let's open you. Y'all have no idea. This is one of my best-selling books. The Other Side of a Pretty Face, Black Body Swinging, Snapshot. Could it be Snap? No, here it is. To the Core. To the Core. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue. It's called To the Core, and it's in volume 2. It's a story called To the Core, and I want to turn that one into a movie because that one goes through history. Well, not history. It's just this girl going through all of these different issues. Seeing relationships that she's been in. It's like she's reliving the event. She's waking up and she's like, wait, how do I get there? I remember what you did to me. This guy cheated on me. So, imagine waking up next to somebody and you remember the event, you remember the day, and you remember that person cheated on you. You know what's going to happen. And so, but you wake up and you're still in the heat of that relationship and but there's still something in that relationship, for example, that you still need to get out of it. Maybe it was a child. If I don't proceed with this, I'm not going to have the child or what have you. So it's a really interesting story. So it's called To the Core, and it's in part 2. I'm going to be doing the mentorship. I'll be launching that out. I don't know. I got like 40 something books, but my best sellers are Wiser Still. The Wiser Still book collection, women absolutely adore them. So I got Wiser Still 1, which is 1 book, Wiser Still 2, which is 2 books, and there's Wiser Still 3. It's supposed to be 3 books. I never got around to finishing the 3rd book, but I'm going to have to do the 3rd one. But they are very, very thick books, and they are my best sellers. People buy them like crazy. A lot of women say they can relate to the women because there's a lot of different stories. It's not one story in the book. These are fictional stories, and they're very interesting stories. And then I give you the revelation from the story at the end of the book. All right, I gotta go, guys. I love y'all, and we'll talk again soon. All right, bye bye. I love how he knows when I say I gotta go. He knows. You know that language, don't you? All right, love y'all. Bye.